Welcome back to the Convo Couch, everyone. Pasta Jardula.
And I'm Fiorella.
And Johnny Sue is still spinning on those ones and twos. Fam. How was your weekend, fam?
Why are you asking me that?
Well, I'm just letting our audience know it's Monday. We're back here, and we gotta just tell everybody what's what. Well, welcome back, everybody. I hope you had a great weekend. It's a Monday. We have a busy week. A lot of stuff going on. Next week's going to be a short week, too, as well. And then the week after, we have the Fuck Censorship protest. The Fuck Censorship rally, I should say. Is it a rally or is it a protest?
It's a protest.
But we're rallying people to say Fuck Censorship.
It's both.
You can see right above Fiorella over there, she has the Fuck Censorship protest fundraiser. So anytime you give us any love, the thermometer reads like red, and it just keeps moving and keeps moving and it keeps moving. And thank you to you all who started just signing up to be a subscriber on Rokfin, Rokfin. We're 24 away, fam, from getting it from 200. Nice. That is amazing, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for showing us your love. And if you want to switch over your Patreon to Rokfin, now's the time to do it, because censorship is about silencing the people, fam, and that's what Rokfin is all about, is opening up our voices. It's a revolution.
It is.
No censorship.
It is. I gotta admit, this weekend it was funny finding out this certain bingo that was going out.
Yeah.
With the Dore haters and stuff. It was funny, but we're gonna make one that's 10,000 times better and way funnier than the authoritarian bingo that's being passed out there.
It's authoritarian bingo?
It's pretty authoritarian. I mean, if you don't do this, then you're this. Like, it was bad. Anyway, if you guys know what we're... No, theirs. Not ours.
Theirs is funny, too, though. But when we started doing ours, I was laughing hysterically.
Yeah, ours is microphone. Be better. Anyway, so we're going to be working on that, fam.
Well.
But, guys, we went through the trouble of watching CPAC, okay? And first of all, I gotta say, I didn't put any tweets on about this, but I was getting really irritated, fam, with the focus on the stage as resembling a supposed Nazi symbol. Like, I've seen many stages, a lot of stages look like that.
Yeah.
I felt like it was reaching. I felt like it was a little ridiculous to just be so upset at that. And from a lot of the same people that were upset at that are completely silent on Syria, or just kind of, made one tweet about it and that's it. Like, America has this tendency, and people in other countries would agree, I think, because they've told me this before, that we get so outraged and overcompensate for political correctness or certain things that are very symbolic, like when it comes to the stage, or when it comes to a flag, and that goes for both ends of the spectrum there, or when it comes to whatever symbolic thing, we freak the hell out about it. But when it's actually about war, the imperialism, the bombs we drop, we just look the other way. And it's really, I'm just so sick of this whole liberal / whatever boutique left wokeness, like, oh my god, this is white supremacy. White supremacy is what we do all over the world every fucking day. Like, stop. And it's just weird because I asked Johnny felt like it was a little bit reaching, right, Johnny, regarding the stage thing?
Yeah, Johnny, get your opinions about the stage.
I thought it was reaching. I thought it was reaching. When I first saw it, I was like, it's kind of reaching. I mean, we just saw the other day in Spain, how there was literally a Nazi rally, when they were having the Hail Hitler signs and everything like that. And,
But isn't that a big difference, Johnny, from them? Okay, we're Nazis. Hail Hitler, hail white. They're out there. They want people to know who they are. Whereas if it's supposed to be cryptic, like a secret hidden Hydra message that the Republicans are sending to their base, guys,
I feel like it was just something to, turn people against each other, have something to talk about.
So they don't have to talk about Syria, though. Because that same day, I believe, what was it? Sunday. Damascus was bombed by Israel. Yeah. So it's just these things that I'm and then the Golden Globe and all these things that are happening. It's it just doesn't feel the same anymore. I just can't with the whole bullshit. Let's focus on the theatrics and all of that when real shit is happening.
Yeah. Well, so somebody made the comment to me the other day. I've been using it. These people love to wag their figures at imaginary Nazis while they go and vote for imperialists who go out and bomb people for real. I mean, there's 22 people, fam, that are now killed from the, Iranian-backed or Shia militia, which people don't even know who the fuck we're bombing. They just hear, oh, Iran bad, we got to go kill them, that's it. They don't even understand that the people that were actually bombing were the people who were fighting ISIS, who were fighting Al-Qaeda. So are we giving cover for them again? Is this the same thing? I mean, we've had shows about Syria. It doesn't matter who wins the war. It doesn't matter who loses the war. All that matters is they have the war. People die, and the profit modems are just all over the place.
And I just want to say, and by saying that, imaginary Nazis, it doesn't mean we think that they don't exist. They obviously exist. We were talking about the ones in Spain. We know that Biden and Democrats helped back Nazis in Ukraine. We know that they exist. They exist here too. I went to a protest once when I was first living here, and the KKK came out with their horses. The police protected them, and not the people surrounding. And it was interesting, but that doesn't mean that it's this massive, giant, like, we have a full-blown domestic terrorist problem, and that's our number one enemy. That's what they want you to think. And so that's the point I want to make. It's like they do this divide and conquer, divide and conquer. And Donald Trump is a part of that, I believe. And that is what we're going to be talking about shortly. Yeah.
And I just want to finish up with this last statement before we get rolling too, fam. I think we should just concentrate on the people with power more than anything. The guys who have the bombs, the guys who make the legislation, guys and gals, the people who make the bombs, the people who make the legislation. That's the people we should be fearing most. I mean, it's just so, we just accept it. Oh, we bombed Syria, no big deal. Nobody says anything. Well, whatever. It's a breath of fresh air. Lloyd Austin. Thank you, Trey Wright. Fuck censorship. Guys, 39 people on over at the Rokfin. Let's get some more people. Let's have a good time. This is going to be awesome because this is important. My mother, fam, is not going to like this show because CPAC is the conservative pack, the hardcore conservatives that have certain values, I should say, or beliefs that they feel strongly about. However, I got the same kind of like feeling about it when we were watching it. We listened to it. We watched it, and then we watched it again, so I did it twice. That's horrible. But when we listened to it, it was just like, wow, he was just kind of like pandering towards a base. And I felt like there is no two-party duopoly. I mean, the two-party duopoly exists or they're just working with each other. It's like one big aisle because really, at the end of the day, it's divisive. It was my beliefs are better than their beliefs. No, fam? I mean, your opinion is about the whole macro of the speech.
Yeah, no, it basically, to me, that speech proves it, and it should prove to Trump supporters who were with him because they thought he was this maverick or this anti-establishment, guy that was going to lead them to exposing a lot of things. And Donald Trump did expose things, but it was in spite of himself, meaning like he was just so honest about what his beliefs were. Whereas like a neoliberal like Biden is more cryptic and, two-sided. So to people that felt like honestly and etc. But when it comes to being an anti-interventionist, when it comes to being about civil liberties and free speech, he doesn't really go all the way that needs to be done. Like he didn't pardon Julian Assange. He actually is responsible for several coups. He amped up the sanctions in the Middle East. The Iran nuclear deal, he went off, did away with it, and like all of these things. And he was actually far more aggressive towards Russia than the liberal media painted out to be. Yeah. So he's not this sort of anti-interventionist guy. And yesterday or whenever that was, they did this conference in Florida, in Orlando, Florida. Yep. And he just came out looking like he was pandering to what the same exact crowd he was pandering to in 2016. Like anti-immigrant rhetoric, extremely like anti-environment, saying, Joe Biden is there's no fracking going on when Joe Biden has issued already dozens and dozens of fracking permits since the first day he was in office. No. When also criticizing Joe Biden, he's kind of painting him that he's not being militant enough. He's being soft, even though Joe Biden literally just bombed Syria. Yeah. And so it's all these things that are contradicting of the reality, like saying that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden are these radical lefties. And it's just he's pandering to that same crowd. But also, this is post 2020. So I think it's going to hurt him with the independents and some of the libertarians that Absolutely. Are like, we're done with this. We're done with this duopoly.
Yeah. That's the thing. I thought this particular speech, man, would be a little bit more about building bridges, not so much about, our conservative values are the right ones. and it's the radical left. So we heard, of course, he comes out, and I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free, and I won't regret. Okay, enough of that. But the first thing we were always wondering is like, okay, Donald Trump is going to hint about like poaching people away from the Republican Party and starting his own party. That is not the case. So right out the gate, and fam, this is a big one for you right here. You know what people are going to say, but Donald Trump is not starting a new party. Check it out.
We will do what we've done right from the beginning, which is to win. We're not starting new parties. You know, they kept saying, he's going to start a brand new party. We have the Republican Party. It's going to unite and be stronger than ever before. I am not starting a new party. That was fake news. Fake news, no. Wouldn't that be brilliant? Let's start a new party and let's divide our vote so that you can never win. No, we're not interested in that. No, we have.
Right? So, fam, remember when he was telling Bernie Sanders, you should start a third party and stuff? And we were like, yeah, listen to Donald Trump. Go to the Green Party. Start a new party. This is your moment in time. He never did it. But Donald Trump is doing the same thing, fam. Your thoughts on this? Because I think you have a strong feeling about him not starting a third party. So,
well, I mean, I think if anybody was going to have the following and the capability to start a third party that could defeat the duopoly, it actually would be Donald Trump, because he's got such a following of people that are with his cult like dedication to him, no matter what he does. And so I think he's actually in a good position to start a third party. And him saying, we don't want to divide the vote. I'm not going to do that. Like, no, it's going to be the Republican Party. We're going to take it over. Just screams like the same thing that, I'm mad at Democrats, progressive Democrats who refuse to start a third party, who force us to continue dependence on the duopoly that's clearly just working to divide us and get allegiance to either the Democrat or the Republican Party. And they're sleeping together. I forgot to put this meme up, but it was like a woman was the Republican Party and the Democratic Party was a guy, and the left had like a camera, and it was like a meme. And it's like, yeah, they're screwing behind your back, except you keep finding out and then acting surprised when it happens every single time. And that's what's going on right now. And yeah, and so Donald Trump,
you don't leave.
Exactly. And like an actual populist, right, would actually take their populism and start a third party. Like, he thinks this would be divisive to the party. Look, if anybody can take over the Republican Party, it was the Tea Party, right? They're capable of doing it, I think, far more than the left is, but that doesn't mean that the establishment is going to allow that. So I think he's just in there to get people to go back into the Republican Party because they don't want an actual sort of anti-establishment populist movement to get hold, whether it's on the left or the right.
Yeah, and it also speaks volumes to the fact that he can't get a overall general populist movement on both sides of the aisle. If populist right is the best you can give them, and that really is the best you can give them. In other words, if he did run as a third party, he's just going to split the vote on the right, because he really can't get any more of those centrists that are kind of libertarian, civil liberties matters minded people, some people who are not looking to go inside the Democratic Party anymore. So he speaks volumes of what he stands for, and that's mostly conservative of sorts, with a little twist and turns over there. Fam, this is an important part once again, and this is why it felt like so much like 2016.
Yeah.
2015, 2016, right out of the gate, when he starts bullshitting, talk about the socialism and communism and whatnot, and conflating that, and trying to really separate people and put them in boxes and corners. Here we go.
Thank you. We will be united and strong like never before. We will save and strengthen America, and we will fight the onslaught of radicalism, socialism, and indeed it all leads to communism once and for all. That's what it leads to. You'll be hearing more and more about that as we go along, but that's what it leads to. You know that. We all knew that the Biden administration...
So, just really quick, because I don't want to spend a million years after each thing he says, but like, trying to act like the Democrats are anywhere close to anything socialist, let alone communist, is comedy. It's laughable. I mean, they're global capitalist, like fiscally Republican in a lot of ways. They're not they're, the things they spend money on, some of them are stupid, but at the end of the day, they're spending money on Wall Street, spending money on the military, spending money on these things that Republicans actually, most of the time they end up agreeing. So it's ridiculous to me that he's suggesting that Kamala Harris or Joe Biden and the Democrats are anything.
I think he's also talking about anything that starts off like a Bernie Sanders movement too as well, when they kind of label them as socialism, communism, communism.
He isn't.
It's stupid too, because are you going to give up your Social Security card, everybody? Are you going to just close down the fire departments and the police departments and the roads? I mean, we're already in a quasi-socialist kind of country, and people don't want full-blown socialism and the scare tactics of we're going to communism like you're Alex Jones or something like that. No, when people talk about communism, what they think is workers' rights. When they talk about socialism, they talk about social safety nets and stuff. So, I think Caleb Maltman says this, when he talks about socialism and whatnot, America will have its own brand of like socialism and whatnot with the capital free market that still exists. So this whole fear tactic that we can't go, oh, if you get Medicare for all, that's socialist, it's going to lead to communism, is stupid. And that's what he's fighting back here. And it's just dumb. It's the same argument over and over again. It's the argument I do have with my mother all the time. It's like, oh, he wants to turn it into a socialist country. Like, stop. We already have socialist entities. What we're saying, we have money for bombs. We have money from imperialism. Let's bring it home. And let's provide health care for veterans and for our people and rebuild our roads and even infrastructure. That's what we're talking about. So Donald Trump, once again, is being like hyper divisive over here and just putting people in corners.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's different opinions on what different people want when it comes to socialism, etc. But at the same time, the vast majority of people who wanted Bernie Sanders, weren't gonna start and making this a Castro regime or like what he's signaling, right? So that's something important that people need to know. Like, he's exaggerating, but he knows that Democrats aren't socialist. He knows that. So he talks about how Bernie got cheated because Bernie was blah, blah, blah. Like, he knows the difference between a Bernie Sanders and a Joe Biden. So he's acting really dumb here and just giving red meat to a salivating base. Absolutely. And that's exactly what he's doing. Yeah.
And it's funny because I don't think he knows what communism and socialism really means. And most of the people who say they're a socialist don't know what it means.
Right.
So, fam, this is a good one too as well, because this one really right out the gate, it pissed off. He got anti-immigrant really, really quickly. Yeah. Really, really quickly. And to tell you the truth, Donald Trump was supposed to be the big negotiator, the non-interventionist. Let's pull out of the global south and whatnot. Let's go make our own deals. And that would have really cut down on the migration coming over here. Mm-hmm. But here in this particular situation, he wants you to believe it's the Democrats with their policies that everybody's like, oh my God, in Guatemala, Biden's the president. Now we can go to America. Let's go. It's bullstein. It's our intervention, and he was part of it. So here he is talking about, he's misleading the people and saying why they're coming up from the global south.
To put you
all right, give us 1 second. That's the anti-immigrant rhetoric is it's just
ended catch and release, ended asylum fraud, and brought illegal crossings to historic lows. When illegal aliens trespass across our borders, they were promptly caught, detained, and sent back home. And these were some rough customers. I want to tell you, some rough customers were entering our country. It took the new administration only a few weeks to turn this unprecedented accomplishment into a self-inflicted humanitarian and national security disaster. By recklessly eliminating our border, security measures, controls, all of the things that we put into place, Joe Biden has triggered a massive flood of illegal immigration into our country, the likes of which we have never seen before. They're coming up by the tens of thousands. They're all coming to take advantage of the things that he said that's luring everybody to come to America. And we're one country. We can't afford the problems of the world as much as we'd love to. We'd love to help, but we can't do that. So they're all coming because of promises and foolish words.
Yeah. So there you go, fam. They're coming because Joe Biden is giving them promises to come up this way. And then, he kind of says, we like to help everybody, but we can't and stuff. Well, you can help everybody by pulling out of those countries. Like, really, I didn't even go search for memes. It would probably take you 10 seconds to find a meme that shows you how many countries in the global south we've messed with their government. Like, all the time, fam. And people don't understand this. This is the argument. I'm like, you're a conservative, right? Aren't you for individual responsibility? Shouldn't we be responsible for messing with their government and turning their countries into hell? That's the reasons why they're coming.
But it's that jingoism, it's that nationalism that gets in the way of taking responsibility. It's like, no, we have that right to do that. The Monroe Doctrine, Manifest Destiny, that mindset that it is our duty to do that because these people, they don't know any better. So we had to do that. And now, they're like, there's no accountability for what we did to these countries. Like, if we left them alone, and that's where some of these libertarians are kind of like non-interventionists, maybe not for the same empathetic reason that I would be, but they're like saying, look, like, we have our own shit to deal with. And so we don't want to go in there. And so that's I think the people he's going to lose, because I think there was a segment that actually voted for him because they thought maybe he's going to be different. Now, if you put Donald Trump versus Kamala Harris, I'm so sorry, but Donald Trump's going to win. I mean, if everything would be fair, he would win, right? Yeah. Like, if they go ahead and pull what they pulled just now, then that's a whole other story. That's what, but people now have the history that this happened. So now they're going to be even more rabid, more angry. Yeah. But regarding the immigration, I just wanted to point out, he's painting Joe Biden as being soft on immigration. Joe Biden has literally done absolutely nothing. In fact, he's deported 30,000 more people than Donald Trump did in his first 30 days in office so far. And he's not even there yet. So like this painting Joe Biden as, he's not great on immigration, he's taking ICE away and all that stuff is completely false, because both of them, that's why half of us are complaining. More than half of us are complaining. Like, Joe Biden, you're not even holding your end of the bargain here. And they weren't even asking him to abolish ICE. They were asking him to rein in ICE. That was the compromise, to rein in ICE and make sure that they're not, and they're still doing it. And in fact, they're installing more cybersecurity methods to go after these people. That is far more effective than having a bunch of people there, because now you got the security cameras and all this technology to do it for you. Yeah. So it's even worse.
And once again, the cause of immigration, right? We talked about Donald Trump played right into it. The same policies. When you ask, is Donald Trump a racist or not? His policies in the global South were very racist. And Joe Biden, the same. The weapons deal right to Chile, right? To Chile or Chile? Chile, right to Chile. I mean, and then all of a sudden he recognizes Juan Guaido. And the North Triangle stuff's going on there. And Trump did mention all three countries in Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador. We mess with those countries, especially El Salvador. Recently, they have a 10-year weapons deal with Israel, and there's Israeli troops training on their base, and American troops are stationed on that base, one of the biggest bases. And we talk about the banana. He talked about MS-13, catch and release. And he compares the border crossing to the Mariel boat lift. I talk about this all the time. Really, he goes, they're sending us, they're rapists, they're criminals, they're worse because they're not stupid. And that's what happened with the Mariel boat ride. The movie we talked about, Scarface. Scarface, actually, Al Pacino's character came over on the Mariel boat ride when Castro said, get out of the country. He emptied his prisons, put them on the boat, supposedly, and sent them to America. And they had almost like concentration camps down in I-95 when I first moved there. We flew into Miami, and I'm like, Dad, what's going on down there? So, and it was this whole kind of scandal where it had all these people. We didn't know who they were. We didn't know what their record was. And now they're here. He talks that same language right there of just demonizing and the parallels. We don't know who they're sending. Well, how about we stop messing around in their country and they won't come? That's
exactly. And what better way to ramp up division and sow division in this country of working people who are scared and vulnerable than to tell the white working class, which is a lot of his base. Of course, he has wealthy upper class, folks who support him as well. But I'm talking about like the white Appalachia /South / Midwest class that has seen the country decline and has seen immigration kind of amp up, and are like, well, look, these immigrants are coming in. They're taking my job. They're stealing my resources. They're trying to help these immigrants get all these things.
Yeah.
What, healthcare, trying to help them get stuff? Well, I can't even get
nothing.
anything
Exactly.
from myself. What the hell is going on? So instead of addressing the problems, because he doesn't mention crap about the stimulus, and neither does Biden. So instead of addressing the problems, what they do is the Republicans you see a scapegoat of the immigrant. Oh, these immigrants are taking everything from you. Look what these radical Democrats are going to turn this into open borders and blah, blah, blah. And China, the China virus. And then, like that, Venezuela and communism and blah, blah, blah. And then the liberals turn around and say, oh, look, these racist Nazis, they're going to come get you. And you need to stand up against this white domestic terrorist. And Russia's coming in. And look, Iran, we got to go over there because these crazy terrorists, and they're using the same language of terrorism now, both in foreign and domestic. Yeah. And that, what do? They get people to divide. So the liberals point the finger at the Republicans and at the Russians, and the conservatives point the finger at the Chinese and the immigrants. And who's not getting the finger pointed at them? Oh, that's right. The fucking establishment, the 1%, the elites that are right there, that are just manipulating everything behind the strings, and the national security state that's ever engrossing into your privacy, your civil liberties, your free speech, all of that. None of that gets attacked because people are too busy pointing the finger at each other. And that's what I want to get out of this whole thing. Like, people say, you guys never go after Trump. Well, I don't need to go after Trump because he exposes himself. You guys know what he stands for. But this is what we need to enlighten people, because a lot of people voted for him thinking that he was going to be different. And I'm telling you, he's not. He's not any different at all.
Yeah. And like we said, this time out, we thought this speech would be a little bit more about coming together. How do we find common ground? But it's more like, nope, this is the radical left. This is what they do. And this is what's going to happen. Here come the immigrants again. It's almost like 2016 all over again.
Yep.
And it's just, these are the reasons why I never supported Donald Trump and I don't like him. Are because of all these reasons. He also talked about the teachers union, fam, and the Biden administration continuing to have the lockdowns on schools, hurting the children with depression and mental illness, saying open the schools. He then bragged about, you know how Donald Trump is, about the FDA creating the vaccine. It's called Operation Warp Speed, fam, and it was a miracle that my administration deserved full credit for. Now,
it's like my team versus your team. My team did better.
Exactly. And I'm not going to say that, anybody could have handled this is good. Are you ready for Trump inside another run, Johnny? We'll get there. I'm not going to say that, once again, it's the coronavirus, right? And I'm not going to put everything on Donald Trump. But I don't think he handled the whole situation well. I'm not saying that Biden is handling it any better. No. But once again,
they didn't provide.
No.
They didn't provide.
Donald Trump always brags about shit he shouldn't brag about sometimes. Just shut up, dude. It's insulting. And he hinted at another run right here, fam. And watch the crowd.
Actually, as you know, they just lost the White House, but it's one of those things. But who knows? Who knows? I may even decide to beat them for a third time, okay? Beat them for a third time.
So, fam, the crowd goes wild. Mm-hmm. That's what they wanted to hear. And I said it this time after, I'm saying, well, of course, we have to look at his first cheap shot at Joe as Johnny gets that ready. But they're preparing for it right now, fam. Here it goes again. Here are the choices again. You're going to get chocolate, vanilla. Right. That's it.
I want strawberry, goddammit.
Nope, it's in the back. We don't have any right now. It's not even on the ballot sometimes.
Well, that's not fair.
It's terrible, but they're going to force you to these decisions again. And it's going to be, really, to tell you the truth, if we do have an election, it's going to be one of those elections. If it was Kamala and Donald Trump, really, 50% of the people might vote. For real.
Yeah.
Who wants to vote for that crap? This is the crap once again. And Donald Trump hasn't, what I'm saying, this is just the crap of the whole, the immigration thing. These are the reasons why there are people that hated Donald Trump from the beginning. They could never forget him. This speech right here, this is almost identical to his bullshit speeches. And he's starting with the conservative, the simple people. You know what I'm saying? The ones who are just not too nuanced, the simple people. Let's watch him take his first shot at Joe because you knew it was coming.
Actually, as you know, they just lost the White House, but it's one of those things.
28-53.
It's kind of easy to take a cheap shot at Joe Biden.
Yeah, but you knew he was going to sprinkle it in there.
Million Americans had already been vaccinated. 1.5 million doses were administered on my final day alone. 1.5 million in a day. Yet Biden said just a few days ago that when he got here, meaning the White House, there was no vaccine. He said, there's no vaccine? Oh, good. Say it again, Joe. Now, I don't think he said that, frankly, in a malicious way. I really don't. I actually believe he said that because he didn't really know what the hell was happening. But
So, and then he takes another little shot at him, a little zombie Joe and stuff.
And Joe didn't remember he got the vaccine.
Yeah.
And
then he goes, oh, it's good. I'm glad he got the vaccine. I'm glad. Good for you, Joe.
I just picture Joe Biden eating ice cream, like getting the vaccine, and he doesn't know what's going on. He's like, he's licking his ice cream. Because that's the image that, first of all, it's partially, if not entirely true, number one. Second of all, that's what these Republicans and conservatives love, is like, aha, Joe. He doesn't,
but here's the thing, too. As I'm watching this thing, too, fam, I'm thinking Donald Trump doesn't really have to spread his wings and be like, build bridges and whatnot. He can stay within his own little corner of the world and his base, because if the Democrats put forth another person like Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or somebody like that, that's not hard to beat. You can probably beat them with your base and very little. I know a lot of people can think, what happened last time? But I mean, really, what do you have to do to really go out there?
But I kind of disagree with that, because even though he has his base, I think to actually overtake the system, you would need like the independents, the libertarians, some people on the populist left to like come join you at least to defeat something. But he's not trying to defeat anything. He's just trying to become the Republican nominee again and do it that way. So again, I think
plan,
he's not. Yeah. The more he does the more divisive he is, because he's going to talk more about immigrants, right? He's gonna take more shots at immigrants. He's going to amp up the Second Amendment. He's going to talk about these things, and so it's just going to further divide people against each other. And that's exactly what the establishment needs. Like they need that more than ever, because civil unrest could just go like this in no time. We haven't been given crap. Americans haven't been given crap by their government.
Fam talked about Second Amendment rights, fam. You hit it right on the nose. But what would a conservative speech be like unless you put the fear of God into people that they're going to take away your guns, the Democrats? Right. They're going to take away your guns. They ain't taking away your guns. Get out of here.
Already, as president, Biden has urged Congress to pass legislation shredding your Second Amendment. Your Second Amendment is in far bigger trouble than you know. And for 4 years, I fought like hell to save your Second Amendment, and we saved it 100%.
All right. The fear they're going to take it away, but I'm your savior, and I saved your guns, and I'll save your guns again.
Right. And
get the hell out of here, man. I mean, is there a fear of people? Is Joe Biden taking away guns? Did I hear something? Did I miss something?
The most that they get is they want to ban AR-15s, but that is one thing that I think some people just literally vote conservative because of the Second Amendment. Yeah. It's a big deal. Joe Biden does talk about gun control, so he gives that impression, even though the Democrats, most of them don't want to ban guns. Some of them do, and I'm entirely against that, but it's like most of them don't.
It's so funny. I used to be for it. Now I'm like, whoa, no. Hell no, you ain't taking it. I never had a gun my whole life. I'm like, wait a second, I'm thinking about it now.
Black Panther up right now.
Let's go. Let's Black Panther up. He also talked about lifting the travel ban and open borders once again. Yeah. That is the fear. It's open borders. Listen. And I made, fun last night. I said, well, the difference is Donald Trump is going to stop people from coming in here. The reason why Joe Biden had to deport so many people with Barack Obama is that it's just open borders and people are coming in. So we got to, but people
aren't coming in like that. No. In fact, a lot of people want to leave.
It's like, I'm getting out of here. Y'all have fun. Y'all are turning into a third world nation and stuff like that. But he talked about that. But here's the part that really just bothered me, fam, because And, you know, I had my arguments with my friends, my conservative friends. I appreciate the rhetoric from Donald Trump when he says we have to end these endless wars. But roll the tape, and then I have a question for you.
When I left office, we had virtually ended the endless wars. These endless wars, they go on forever. They go on forever. I would go to Dover and I would see caskets, coffins coming in. I'd see the parents and the wives and the husbands. I would see the kids. Endless wars, 19 years in Afghanistan. We have it down to almost nothing left, and I hear they might want to go back in. Iraq. Remember, I used to say, don't go in, but if you're going to go in, keep the oil. Well, we went in and we didn't keep the oil. We had made historic peace deals in the Middle East.
All right, that's it. You could stop there because, okay, first of all, name a war he ended, fam. Name a war he ended. You could say, oh, Donald Trump didn't start any new wars.
Yeah.
But what war did he end? And the whole thing he's talking about Afghanistan, you did it too late, Jack. You tried to do it at the very end where you couldn't get everybody out and they could keep the bases open. Had you done that in the first year instead of amping up the bombing by like 75%, which Donald Trump did in Afghanistan, okay? Had you done that, then there had been a chance to end those wars. But you didn't do that. And then you tried to go through Congress and use the Rand Paul way. It didn't work out. You didn't end shit, pal. I'm so sorry. And the continued policies in the Global South, fam, they might not be war, but they're war-minded. They're war-minded. You know, and he talks about these Fugazi peace deals, and then he talks about taking off the sanctions in Iran. Why would Joe Biden take off the sanctions in Iran? You lose your leverage in as far as negotiating. Sanctions kill. They are an act of war, Donald Trump. People don't like sanctions because babies are going to die when you put them on people. We were critical of when Bill Clinton did them to Iraq. I'm critical when you do them.
And Joe Biden isn't doing that. I mean, he's just gonna ramp up the sanctions in the Middle East again, and he's doing it through the excuses of, oh, like Syria had Iran-backed militias, so we had to go in there, be in a country that we are illegally occupying anyway. We shouldn't even be in there, in any of these places. And so the fact that he's painting it like Joe Biden isn't strong enough or much of a warmonger when Anthony Blinken and Lloyd Austin literally just bombed Syria, it's ridiculous. It's a lie. It's a lie because we know, and you can ask any Syrian, you can ask Richard Medhurst if it matters whether Donald Trump or Joe Biden is president. They're still bombing this country. They're still bombing Syria. That doesn't it hasn't changed. New boss, same as the old boss. Drop bombs, whether you're a Democrat or Republican. It happens regardless, and that's why some people voted for Trump, because they thought maybe he's gonna change the foreign policy, and he didn't. So he needs to stop lying and acting like it would be any different.
And the sanctions towards Iran, that's just winking that I'm stronger for Israel than you are, Joe.
Oh yeah.
Even you're a Zionist. I was the best president for Israel. I moved the embassy.
Both of them are.
Into I mean they are. It's like when Rich Medhurst said, you know who won the election last night? Raytheon won the election last night, and he wasn't lying and stuff. Now here comes the other part, and I talk about this all the time, and it's like he mentions not going back into the Paris Accord, and then he always talks about the oil, right? He talks about the oil dependency, about Biden canceling the Keystone pipelines, and it kills jobs. The reason why we are mad at Joe Biden when it comes to climate legislation is the fact that he went back on his word. Yes, if I was president tomorrow, if Fam was president tomorrow, if Johnny was president tomorrow, fracking would be banned immediately. Immediately. And I don't want to hear about anything that it kills jobs. It's bullshit. This is oil. This is our water. We just did a report with Roblito. Robbie Fire came on, right? Okay? We talked about it gets into our water, ladies and gentlemen. We have to start looking at other means of electricity. Bottom line, how long can we do this for? And I'm not even trying to be an alarmist about this, but we're not even trying to go to solar. We're not even trying to go to wind. And he owes this one thing, fam. The wind, it kills the birds. It's awful. These things are disgusting. They turn to rust, and they're so expensive, and they can't power our factories like coal. Big, beautiful coal. Johnny, here he is talking about the Keystone Pipeline again. I don't understand why we're still having this conversation.
And in one of his first official acts, which was incredible because, again, he talked about energy. He never said he was going to do this. He canceled the Keystone XL pipeline, destroying Not the 8,000 or the 9,000 or the 11,000 jobs that you hear, but 42,000 great paying jobs on just about day one, right? He never talked about that during a debate because he wouldn't have gotten away with it. Well, he would have because they cheated so much it probably wouldn't have been. No, but that was not a topic of conversation, remember? Fracking, you can frack. Oh, we love fracking. During the primary, no fracking. As soon as he got through that, he said, no, of course, everybody can frack. No fracking. You wait till you see what happens with your gasoline. Wait till you see what happens, and we cannot let this stuff continue to go on. One of my proudest accomplishments.
So there it is, and the fear of the gas prices.
Right.
If we don't do this, your gas prices are going through the roof. Scare tactic. You got to do this. We got to drill, baby, drill, fam.
Exactly. I mean, he's the usual status quo. We need a big oil, blah blah blah. The same shit that he did in 2016. Nothing different. And it's like they're competing to see who's worse for the environment. And he's, that's what it is right now.
Because it's about jobs. It's always about jobs. We can't get rid of oil. Our dependency on oil because we don't want to kill jobs.
Right.
We can't stop making bombs because we don't want to kill jobs. It's just so stupid. He then takes a shot at the transgender community, saying that it's changing women's sports. You knew he was going to sprinkle it in there, and it's one thing if you wanted to have a nuanced conversation, but no, he's throwing red meat to his base. Exactly. That's what he's doing. So he just
red
uses
meat
it
for the
pandering.
liberals to say, "Oh, look, he's anti-trans. He's this and the same thing," and we just keep, and I'm not saying he's not, but what I am saying is he's manipulating this to get a rise out of people the same way liberals manipulate what they say to get a rise out of others against Trump. Yeah,
and then now he starts to go on this next clip about him mentioning. Fam, we talk about this all the time. They don't go after him for the actual economy, the economics, right? He always sits there and he brags about it. He always mentions this bullshit kind of, the unemployment rates for blacks, Hispanics, Asian Americans, it's higher than it's ever been, and your stock markets are high. Well, yeah, it's higher than you ever been, but you need 2 or 3 jobs, and we're living, 80% of us are living paycheck to paycheck, no matter who we are or where we're from in America. And then the stock market, who has all the money in the stock market? He's old school, old news, stick to our economy, stick to our oligarchs and to our Wall Street ways. Nothing changes whatsoever. Here he is mentioning this bullshit.
Over the past 4 years, my administration delivered for Americans of all backgrounds like never before. Like never before. We built the strongest economy in the history of the world, raised wages, and achieved the lowest African American, Hispanic American, and Asian American unemployment rates ever recorded. It was so great for everybody of all backgrounds that even after the China virus, we are leading the world. Nobody's even close. We're leading it in the comeback. Our economic comeback has been incredible. That's because the financial and economic foundation we built was so strong that unlike other countries who are having a hard time, we didn't break. We came roaring back, and now our stock market and your 401ks are, again, at record levels, higher than ever before, actually.
There it goes again, fam. This whole economics or, you know what I'm saying? The stock market's high, your 401ks, it was good for everybody. Has he seen the food lines? Has he seen, and that's the whole thing I hate when they're like, well, look at the homeless problem. Well, those are badly run Democratic towns, Fiorella. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you know why you don't have homeless in Florida? Because they literally send them away to every other state nearby.
Arrest them.
That's what Republicans do. They push away the homeless onto these Democratic-run states. So then you have all the homeless on Skid Row in LA. I mean, I don't know how many documentaries I've seen where people were like talking about how they were coming home from the army or how they were released during. They did a liquidation of all the mental hospitals that they had, and they just let everybody out. Where did people go? Oh, they went there because they had like housing. They were able to find something to help them out. So that's why you have the homeless. Now, has Gavin Newsom or Andrew Cuomo ran New York or Los Angeles in the way they should? Absolutely not. They're absolutely horrible, and like we don't like them. But at the same time, just saying, oh, we don't have homeless in these Republican states, it's disingenuous.
And it's not a Democrat or Republican problem. It's an American problem. It's an American problem. And there's so much that that leads to it. You don't have health care, right? How many military veterans do we have on the streets? I think it's 1 in 4.5 now. Like, it's getting worse. It's getting worse. Why aren't you fighting for those people? You're just going to let them wander around the streets, dying, killing themselves with PTSD, addicted to drugs, not the proper psychiatric help? But that's okay. And you want to say, oh, it's Democrats? No, it's awful. Then he said, some people said Trumpism. I didn't make it up, fam, but that's what people call it. And I'll tell you what it means. It means great trade deals like eliminating NAFTA and also eliminating regulations, which is also another dog whistle there. We're going to eliminate regulations,
right?
Which is such bullshit. Like, of course we want small businesses not to be tied down with red tape and regulations, but people who burn shit and put it in the air, they need regulations.
Yeah.
And you can't pull away regulations from them. And we saw what regulations do nowadays, fam. Right? Robbie talked about it. Robbie Yeager, when he talked about the pipeline, it's a joke, the regulations for these companies. So we do need regulations. We need safety protections, and that's what it means. And he just kind of just puts it out there in mass rather than the nuance it is. He also says it means law and order, and it means a great, big, strong military, including Space Force, which I created, fam.
I just can't. It's the Space Force. I mean, at this time when people are like literally just on their last, like, you know, their last stand, I think you're going to talk about Space Force. It's so out of touch right now.
Yeah. And the whole thing about the next part is, too, fam, it's kind of like, once again, you know where he's coming from, how crazy the Democrats can be with their wokeness, right? Mm-hmm. So now here he talks about empire educations, values, religion, and of course, the thing we talk about all the time, the flag. He's the burning of the flag, the dog whistle here. Here we go.
Their party is based upon unvarnished disdain for America, its past, and its people. You see that happening. It's horrible the way they treat the legacy of our country, the culture of our country. Our party is based on love for America and the belief that this is an exceptional nation blessed by God. We take great pride in our country. We teach the truth about history. We celebrate our rich heritage and national traditions. We honor George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson, and all national heroes. And of course, we respect our great American flag.
Johnny, what do you think about that when he talks about, we teach natural values, we talk about Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson, Emory. We tell the truth, he says, about our past.
Yeah.
And then he goes into his flag.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just like the typical Trump shit. So, you know, I never thought that Trump was like any part of, you know, I always saw him as a puppet, basically. And he made that clear after the election.
Yeah, after the especially, you know, with the way who he employed with the election integrity, and also the fact that he didn't pardon Julian Assange, he didn't pardon any whistleblowers, he didn't do any of that stuff. And just talking about it's just so obvious that he is just pandering to his base, to a base that he thinks he needs to pander to, instead of actually growing the party in a way that's actually anti-establishment with this emerging populist movement. Because I think some people who actually liked Trump before are going to have a problem with this.
Yeah. And
I think we're going to see more and more of that come out. People were mad at him after the election, after he gave up the election. So I those people are going to be like, well, you betrayed us, because they were already turning on him.
Yeah. The crowd cheered, "We loved you." He stated, "We reject cancel culture," which he kind of talks about that stuff.
Which, again, that's true in a way. Like, the liberals and some on the left do give the Republicans fodder for that. Like, they're hypocrites about it. Like, they want to cancel Republicans, but when they do stuff, it's okay because of the ideology. So it's kind of like the more they do that, the more these people use it against them, and that's how the cycle continues. Like, that's why I hate both on that end of the spectrum, when people overdo it with like, oh, this person is canceled because they said this. It's like, you know, what they were trying to do to Joe Rogan and all these things. It's like, oh, that person's anti-trans, that person's TERF, that person's this and that, and like they're so quick to judge without having a conversation. Well, all you do is give more strength to the other side, the emerging Republican Party, who wants to call it out, and it's just, it doesn't help anybody.
Well, ditto, and we'll get more into that a little bit. We're going to finish this up. Trump talks about securing elections and the rules that were changed illegally, fam. This is like the part I was waiting for. You know when you go see a band and they got that one song you like, but you got to listen to the other songs? So I got through all the crap and songs, like, all right, finally, he's going to talk about the elections. And even this, he kind of screws up because, once again, he threw out the dog whistles when it comes into it. But he did talk about, his main thing is like, this is the main point about the elections. Take a look. Here it is.
Another one of the most urgent issues facing the Republican Party is that of ensuring fair, honest, and secure elections. Such a disgrace, such a disgrace. Such a disgrace. We must pass comprehensive election reforms, and we must do it now. The Democrats used the China virus as an excuse to change all of the election rules without the approval of their state legislatures, making it therefore illegal. It had a massive impact on the election. Again, you have to go to the legislatures to get these approvals. This alone would have easily changed the outcome of the election at levels that you wouldn't have even believed. Even with COVID, even with all of the things, the numbers are staggering. We can never let this or other abuses of the 2020 election be repeated or happen again. Can never let that happen again. You see what's going on. We've been set back so greatly with other countries and with the world.
So, yeah, he did talk about that one single part, fam, how that can be an issue when it comes to, and I talk about this all the time. They changed these laws. They changed them illegally. They didn't go through the legislation, and this was in all these states that they had the contested states and stuff like that. And that really does hit it on the nose.
Right.
He did also then talk about how illegal aliens are, a part of stealing these elections, which I hate, you know what I'm saying? Because it's
so
I'm sorry.
not true.
It's so not true.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that every vote should be a fair vote, but once again, that's not your main element. That's not what cost you the election, my friend Donald Trump. It wasn't illegal aliens voting, okay? Trust me on that one. He talked about the Supreme Court lacking the guts and telling them you don't have on standing. And this is something that we knew as leftists, that every single time we had a case get somewhere, it was like, you're a lack of standing, you don't have standing, they throw away these cases.
Yeah.
So he does mention that. He did mention there should be one election day, fam, not a holiday. But he said there should be just one day, not many days, you know what I'm saying? Talking about that.
I mean, I think we should have a holiday maybe of 1 or 2 days, like a whole weekend or whatever.
The weekend
it is
and then
vote.
the Monday and Tuesday,
yeah,
right?
I think there should be like a designated time to vote. But but then he mentions voter ID, and it's like, you can argue for that, but the way he argued was suggesting that we need that because these immigrants and these people that aren't supposed to vote are voting. He wasn't saying it because we need security. He didn't really talk about enough, in my opinion, about ballot harvesting. He didn't really talk about other things. Like this, he did mention, what is it, the
chain of custody.
The chain of custody, but he didn't specify what does that mean. So unfortunately, after he said all these dog whistles and all these terrible things, people aren't going to listen to what he's saying, because it's just going to be seen as, this right-wing attempt to vilify people of color and immigrants. So anything that he says regarding election integrity goes out the window now because of you're tainting it with all this crap.
Yeah, and I think about 1/3 of the time when they went through this whole process with the Giuliani, Sidney Powell team, 1/3 of the time they did that. It's like 2/3 of what you're saying is good. The 1/3 is what's ruining it. In this particular case, it was half and half, because he even mentioned the signature verification has to be kind of lined up to make sure that it's a legal citizen that's voting. It's like, dude, why are you going there?
Right.
Like, that's not it's not the legal citizens that you're worried about. There's all these people who they're just sending all these ballots throughs from the election, from the legislator, or from the establishment, whoever's doing that. He did mention vote by mail should be limited, and he even said the third world countries have better elections than us. And more than anything, fam, he did mention the Time magazine article, which we talked about. He talked about freedom of speech and debate. This is the one area, because I'm looking forward. I'm actually texting somebody to debate somebody on these issues. Let's go and have debate. And he talks about that because Donald Trump says he doesn't back down from a debate. So here it is.
Yet all of the election integrity measures in the world will mean nothing if we don't have free speech. And that's where we're at now. If Republicans can be censored for speaking the truth and calling out corruption, we will not have democracy, and we will have only left-wing tyranny. And we can do this. We can do this. We're smarter than they are. We're tougher than they are. For some reason, we just don't. We don't get it done. We let them attack our businesses, and we don't attack their businesses. I believe your numbers are bigger than their numbers, but you're nicer than they are. You're not as vicious as they are. In the past, we would debate. I would have it. I'd debate. You've seen me for many years. They throw something. I debate. They debate. Who knows who wins? You know, people go, they vote, they see what happens. But they would have an idea. They would disagree. The public would hear it. The debate and discourse would take place. And then somebody would make a decision.
There you go. So there he is, fam. Just debate. Let's talk about these things. And he's saying, let's not have cancel culture. And there's so much I disagree with him. And I can't wait to have this debate. If this person, we get on the right page for tomorrow, because we're going to debate this right here. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I mean, he is kind of true.
I mean, yeah. I mean, when it comes to the...
Let's debate our ideas.
Right. When it comes to freedom of speech and cancel culture, he's right. When it comes to that, saying, like, people don't talk. They don't have conversations anymore. They just cancel. They just say, that's it. I'm not talking to you. And that's part of it. And that part is still going to win him points with people who see what the liberals are doing and are like, oh my God, that's so awful. Yeah. Like, but I don't think it's big enough because it's not backed by, oh, let's protect Julian Assange. Let's protect free speech. Let's really, really go after big tech. Exactly. He didn't really do that. So that's where I don't believe, where that.
He swings into going after big tech, repealing Section 230. He talks about Republicans in states like Ron DeSantis' bill where they're going to actually punish censorship. And he kind of urged other Republican governors to go take those actions. He talked about H.R. 1, which they're trying to bring in. He used the fear tactics. It's about voter registration and, once again, letting felons vote.
Right.
Which, once again, once you serve your time, you should be able, if you served your time to society, you should be able to vote. Okay,
exactly.
End of story. If you're in jail and you don't think it's okay to, and we could probably have an argument for that, but I'll even settle halfway there. When somebody serves their time, they can vote. All right. He attacked all the Republicans. He named them out, fam, who went along with impeachment, and then he singled out Liz Cheney, because he understands that's the establishment. She loves war, fam. He said the Democrats stick together, but the Republicans don't, and they have better policies. I think he doesn't understand about the Democrats. They don't stick together.
Not stick together.
There's a circular firing squad going on there as well. He bragged about carrying the Republicans on Election Day, saying that this is my party. That election, those elections were carried. Those Republicans won because of me, and yet I didn't win. Right. Something's wrong. Something very, very wrong here. But then he vowed victory for himself and the Republicans. It's fun to stay at the YMCA, fam.
Jesus Christ.
That's what we heard. He ended up, it's fun to stay with the YMCA. And that was it. And that was your CPAC. Let's rewind back to it once again. It just felt like it was more about division.
Yep.
I understand he's talking to a certain base, and he's using the same blueprint he used in 2016, fam.
100%. I mean, I just don't think this is where people need to hear right now. If actually Republicans wanted to beat Democrats, it would be really easy right now. Run on giving people money, run on undoing all the mess that the Democrats are doing for real, though. Like, fix elections, talk about the chain of custody and all that, but be specific. Don't dog whistle. Focus on the actual logic and the actual data. Then focus on helping American people, getting workers on the job again, getting the country to rebuild. They could absolutely win on that. For student loan forgiveness, the Republicans could literally win if they were to actually go after what the Democrats promised but failed, and they could still do their little dog whistles. And I think if they did that economically, I think they could definitely with flying colors. But now it just makes it like, oh, well, who cares? It's either going to be Kamala Harris or Donald Trump. They're going to use the same thing. You don't want Trump, do you, in 2024? And then Trump's going to say, you don't want radical Kamala Harris in 2024, and we get nothing.
And it seems like he was concentrating on going after that base again, taking it away from the Republicans. It wasn't a populist speech. It's the same blueprint. Let me go out there. Let me get my people who are going to be fighting with the other Republican base. Let me bring them over, and then I'll work on getting any independent-minded people just enough to say that they're awful, and I'll win. In other words, saying the Democrats are awful, Johnny.
Yeah, so it was interesting to see because this is like the first public appearance I've seen Trump do since he's been banned everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And then, but what was your guys' reasoning for wanting to show all this? To show his speech and everything. What was your reasoning?
This was his speech saying that he's running again. Like, right? You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
for
me, it's more than anything. Like, here, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but which is more about like this is his announcement speech. He's running again. What do we get to expect? Has anything changed? Would he start a third party? Whatnot? I mean, all those things were like on the table. Like, what's going to happen? But it's more the same. I'm sorry, fam.
For me, I just wanted to show the fact that he is literally, if anybody thought that he was like a maverick, an outsider, an anti-establishment hero, that he was going to lead to, what the Q people thought as unraveling and taking down and draining the swamp. I wanted to show that that's absolutely not true, that he is just another cog in the machine. And I think he very well knows that he is. And I think now he's just being used as that. Because if he actually wanted to challenge the system, he would have pardoned Julian Assange, or he would be talking about what's going on with him right now that he's not in office. He would be challenging the security state. He would be challenging not from the right, like criticizing Joe Biden for not being militant enough, but saying, why are you bombing Syria? We need to get out of there. He's not doing that. He went the opposite way, saying you need to be more of a warmonger. You need to be more anti-immigrant, even though Joe Biden is acting like a Republican in policy. So he's not stupid. I don't think he's that stupid. I think he knows that. Yeah. So I think he's just being used as a dog whistle to get these Republicans to be loyal to the Republican Party. The Democrats are doing the same thing for loyalty to the Democratic Party so they can fundraise off of fear-mongering of a Trump 2024 campaign, because what better boogeyman than the one you've already had that's been so horrible. So they're just playing the American public with this political football. And that's why I wanted to show this, because if people continue falling prey to the duopoly, whether it's, oh my God, we can't have Trump again, or we can't have another radical Democrat again, they're not going to think outside the box. They're not going to stand up and say, you know what, this party, it's really one giant aisle. They work together. They're sleeping together. They're screwing you behind your back. They're actually friends, and they're more than friends. And you keep falling for the same exact words of saying, no, it's different this time. Yeah. It's never going to be different.
Yeah. And the thing that really bothered me is that it was more about ideology, attacking leftist ideology. Right-wing ideology is right, conservative ideologies are values or whatnot. Democrats, they stick together. No, we don't. I mean, I'm saying, like, where are you coming from? I'm not a Democrat, but I know a bunch of Democrats, and no, that's not the truth. I'm saying? It wasn't a speech for the populace. It was a speech, once again, for the conservatives, and it's the same blueprint. I thought it would be a little bit different this time. I thought he would continue to just constantly punch up. But in this case, these are the speeches when he punches down a little bit, because he's also punching against people who don't necessarily believe in those ideologies, and then kind of paints us all as like we have the same mind and we have the same woke politics. No, we're just as critical about the people in the Democratic Party as we are in the Republican Party. Right. And so showing this once again, this sucked in a way. This speech sucked because it's the same old. It's the same thing. Speaking to the simple-minded people who believe in these values, who believe that you shouldn't burn the flag. You know what I'm saying? He even slipped a little pro-life shit in there, too, as well. He was letting those people know that he's got their back. The dog whistles, and that was it. And you know what I'm saying? It lacked nuance. There were times when I did like things, but for the most part, poo-poo, caca, same bullshit. I don't want to deal with it and stuff like again. These are the reasons why I'll never vote for Donald Trump right here in this speech right here.
So you had a sliver of hope he might come out differently.
Totally. I thought it would be more about like building bridges, more about like, listen, we believe in this, but they believe in that, so this is how we find a way. We sit down, we talk, and we come up with something. But it would
have been the smart thing to do.
It wasn't for the populace.
I didn't think it was going to do it either. No. But it is important to show, maybe to like independents, maybe who watch the show, maybe we're still thinking about Trump or whatever.
Yeah.
And we're using his own words to show you why.
and it also, like, to people who say we don't criticize Donald Trump ever, we're criticizing him from what needs to be criticized, like the fact that he is like dog whistling and he's lying again, and like, that way I don't have to spend time every day talking about, oh my God, he's so awful, he said all these racist things. And it's like, yes, because this is all a game to them, whether it's Trump or Biden. They dog whistle to whoever they need to dog whistle to get their base, and that's it. And nothing changes. Yeah. So I want to get the point across that it doesn't matter. Like, they are one duopoly, one oligarchy. They work together. You're being played. They're playing you to get mad at the other side. There's really no other side. The only people that are divided, they're not divided. They're united in screwing you. So, super chats?
Yeah, Johnny, do you need an address or you got everything? It's my bad. Let me get some addresses. Fam, you want to read the first one from David Guevara?
Yeah, so David Guevara, thank you for the super chat contribution. Relation to shit? I don't know. Chico Petey. Aloha, Johnny Pasta and Fiorella. Chaos is bliss for the 1%. Absolutely. Society is so distracted by social media, fear of loss of any component in our little bubble that we have forgotten our altruism nature towards others. 100%. We're a very individualistic society and culture. Oh, you just...
I didn't do anything.
Oh, okay. Weird. I fear the only way our society will rise is when everyone is affected, but by then it will be too late. Okay, interesting. I agree. I do agree with you. Thomas Wilcott, thank you for the super chat contribution. Super Ray. I'm so sorry, it's not super chat.
Super Ray.
Denny McCartney, thank you for the super Ray contribution.
Put them in the bottom of the folder.
Let's see.
No offense. Love you 3. Please don't ever stop. No offense.
No offense.
No offense here. Trey Wright. Haven't heard Donnie Boy. The keg of orange Fanta is in such a long time.
Still
an establishment puppet and total mook.
A total
he
mook.
He is a total mook. I'll
You
let you read
mook.
Andrea.
You mook. Andrea, thank you for the super Ray.
Yes.
Trump is great at BS. I watched his speech yesterday. He has not changed one iota and never will. We are doomed if he runs in 2024. See, it keeps doing that.
Weird.
I believe he would win. I agree. I think he would win. I think we're doomed either way, whether it's him or
He would only win because the Democrats are so bad. That's why. It's such an awful choice. And the fact, that's the whole thing for me. And I just want to pause for 1 second, fam, before we talk about this, because let me tell you something. It was just awful again that Joe Biden, we allowed the establishment to win again, because now they think everything they do, their actions are justified. They don't have to change, and they can give you shit. They can give you no choice. Take it or leave it, progressives. Take it or leave it, leftists. That's all you get. That's why, more than anything, I think it was really important for us to beat back the establishment, beat back the establishment Democrats, and really, really get some leftists going. But we never got that because why? We capitulated once again, and we said, well, we better get in line because Trump wins. Oh, no. And Trump did the same thing here. He didn't concentrate on going after power. He said concentrated on going after each other, just what the Democrats do. They don't concentrate on power. Oh, no.
Wait, I wanted to read it so
right,
no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Okay.
Say the middle name.
Oh, no, Kai Kala. Oh, no. We need to realize those who pull the strings in our society, not the politicians, not red or blue, unless we rise towards a form of revolution of our society functions. Government policies that the people directly benefit from will look forward towards climate devastation, further escalation of war to pillage their resources, and further prospect of death for the less fortunate. I agree. We're at a crazy, crazy time, and if we don't change it, we're never going to get there. Marlene Smith, thank you so much for being such a loyal fan, Marlene. Thank you, Fee Pasta and the Convo Couch, for all that you do. Keep bringing the truth. We need you, and I appreciate your work so much. Thank you, Marlene. I always see you in the chats and on Facebook, and you're awesome. Thanks for being fam. Because she's always around. Marie Guerrero, my top policies for the left. M for all, off fact, RCV, UBI. RCV is ranked choice voting, which I agree is pivotal to what we need for a third party. Off fact is way better than the Green New Deal. I agree. Medicare for all. It should be a non-issue at this point. That should be an automatic. Hi, Independent Left News. Shout out to Independent Left News.
Tony watches closely.
I don't know which is better, Streamlabs or this, but I split it today. Much love. Thank you, Tony. That's sweet of you.
Tony has done it again.
Tony. Hi.
Feels good.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
That's all the super chats. Thanks for being on the Super Ray. Let's see. Are we ready or not yet? Okay, waiting.
Check out the YouTube real quick. Let's go say hi to some people on the YouTubes. Here we are over here. Guys, 415 of you over here. Red Sea Socials. How you doing? Reese Mack. Stupid Enochs. Did I say, is it Enochs? Eunuchs. Stupid eunuchs. I know what a eunuch is. Isn't that the guy from Game of Thrones. You see how she's laughing at me? Stupid eunuchs.
Enooks. I like
Karen
Enooks
M.
better. I like.
Isn't that from Star Wars?
No. It's from. There was one in.
You're talking about the Ewoks.
It's the Ewoks. I'm Enooks and you're Ewoks. And are you making fun of me? Let's go Jets, LW.
Oh my God, the things I have to deal with, you guys.
Oh my God, Roman's there. Dino, American ignorance. I love that name. American.
Oh,
American.
God.
Stupid Enooks.
Eunuchs, goddammit.
Stupid eunuchs.
Okay,
He's a
yeah.
eunuch.
So
Dino.
yes, he was a eunuch. The
Oh
Game
my
of Thrones
Lord.
guy. He was a eunuch. He was the guy that had little birds everywhere.
Eunuchs. Larry Fine says eunuchs. He was
yeah.
He was one of the important characters, and the way he died, Khaleesi had him burnt by a dragon. Terrible.
What? Did she? No.
The eunuch. Yeah, she did. Remember, she found out he was speaking, and he was like, "Nope, you're done." Man of talk.
Well, she went crazy, so.
She did. Be
don't
rad.
Don't mess with women. That's
William
all.
Wallace. You guys go over to Rokfin, ROKFIN. Sign up for free and check us out over there. We're going to have a special guest today. Fam, we have some serious fam out there, do we not?
We do, fam. We have serious fam out there that have been doing, the work here and have been just really, they're very unique and they do things in a very unique way. They have a lot of little gifts and little caricatures. And I don't think there's really anybody like them. It's another duo, It's a beauty and a boomer.
Yes.
And you could say the same thing here.
But Shanda's not a boomer.
Except you're the beauty too. And
exactly. I'm saying the same thing. Shanda's not a boomer. She's Generation X. She just gets that tag like I get it.
The beauty is Shonda. Okay?
Oh, really?
Jeez.
It's Shanda? I thought the beauty was Oz. You know what I'm saying? The reason why I love these people too as well. I mean, obviously when you see the video, our trailer out there, you'll see Fee and Johnny in Seattle, and there's a cop approaching Fiorella with some pepper spray, and there's a dude carrying a bunch of pizzas out there, and he's like, "Stay out of the way from her," and stuff like that. And so these people are fam. We look out after each other, and they are also very strong advocates of Medicare for all. We initially met some of these people when we went up to see Sarah Smith years ago, when she was running against Adam Smith, even though
Pramila Jayapal,
she endorsed the wrong person, a warmonger. I'll never forgive her for that. But we made some great friends, and we speak to them all the time. They are truly fam. We love them. Let's bring them on. Our Seattle fams from Roar Media, Oz, the beauty, and Shanda, the boomer. Just kidding.
Guys,
it's the other way around, is it?
You.
Hi there. Hi, Sister Fee and Brother P. How you doing?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Crazy.
We're great. It's Monday, and we're 30 days into administration, dropping bombs on the Middle East, like we always do.
Yeah. You're dropping.
Somebody else dropped something over there. There's that microphone over there.
Oh God, that was perfect.
See what happens? You talk about Joe Biden and stuff starts crashing. Yeah.
That's a bunch of malarkey.
How's the weather out there, by the way, guys?
Actually, it's a beautiful day.
Yeah, it's sunny. It's sunny. Are you coming up?
Wow.
Come on up.
Nice. Well, fams.
Yes.
So I know you guys have been one of the more critical channels. Not in a bad way, but in a very obvious way. When a politician doesn't do what they're supposed to do, especially progressive politicians who ran on Medicare for all, a Green New Deal, on $15 minimum wage. When you invest all your time and effort into putting them into the Democratic Party, like so many progressives did this last cycle, and then they go and they have failed. They continuously capitulate to the establishment, voted for Nancy Pelosi, didn't force the vote. You have to hold them to account. And you're one of the few people on the progressive indie media channel that does electoral politics that has actually gone after AOC. So we wanted to talk to you guys. We wanted to do this segment regarding AOC's silence on Syria and on her interview with Mehdi Hassan, and just to talk about a couple things. So, guys, on Sunday, Israel bombed Damascus, right? And Israel has consistently and constantly been bombing Damascus and Syria in general. And when we did it, of course, there was a significant amount of outrage within the anti-imperialist sector of the independent media. But when it came to the Bernie sector, there was like very little outcry. There was still like, oh, well, AOC didn't drop the bomb, so it's okay. I just wanted to get your feels on what does it mean that we haven't had a peep from the squad except Ilhan Omar, who actually gave like a statement, but she obviously didn't understand the whole situation. We expect these people as Congress people to give us a little bit more. So just what you're right off the bat before we get into it, just your feelings about the squad's take on Syria, or lack of take.
Well, so, I'm going to say I came into this as a Bernie delegate in 2016. I really got behind the Dim Inter project. And, we did support these progressives like AOC and Pramila Jayapal here. I campaigned very hard for Pramila Jayapal in 2016. And they burned us so many times over and over and over. Every single plank on our platform, they just disregard. So I actually have a new approach over the last year or so. I mean, we knew Bernie was running and we were supportive, but even though we know it wouldn't go far, but I stick to the platform now. I have 2 litmus tests. I have Medicare for all domestically, and I have anti-war for foreign policy. And if you are not out there vehemently, screaming about either of these, I'm done with you. I ain't giving you my money. I'm not giving you my time. I'm not phone banking. I'm not door knocking. I'm not going to do any of this for you. And, the squad, it's ironic that a year ago when Trump was trying to pull troops out of Syria, where was AOC and Ilhan and the squad? Well, they supported it, but they were damn set against him bombing them. But now we're just a few days into Biden's administration, and there's pretty much crickets when it comes to the squad, other than Ilhan's, ill attempt to kind of cover her ass.
Oz?
Well, just don't come at me unless you're going to be supporting Medicare for all and supporting getting out of these imperialist wars. And don't try and sell any bullshit on that either. There's no reason. It's unconstitutional what has just happened again.
Yes.
And they're sweet talking around. Bernie's sweet talking about, well, I'm really disappointed in Joe going and doing all this stuff. It's unconstitutional, Bernie. Call it the way it is. That's where I'm coming from. We've got to start calling out these politicians 100%, because that's how we show our people in the streets, the 99% who are bleeding to death through their families, losing people, losing their limbs, their finances, everything is going into this mosh pit, killing brown people that don't have anything to do with anything in other countries to take their shit. That's where we're at.
You better believe it's resource extraction and bombing indigenous people in their homelands. But let me ask you guys a quick question, because you guys mentioned this, and this is what the Seattle fans are known from. You're very close with the Red Berets, the Medicare for All Berets people. In fact, we have Berets ourselves. And I just thought I saw one of the representatives on another independent show the other day talking, and I love her work and what she does, one of the Red Berets. But let me ask you a question. What if I'm a politician and I'm running for office, and I am for Medicare for all, but I tell you straight out, and I know I get some guff from Fiorella, I will settle and at least take the public option. Would you accept that from a candidate who says they'll at least take the public option, even though they intend to fight for Medicare for all, Shanda?
No, absolutely not. We've been fed the public option for how many freaking years now? Absolutely not. If you're not 100% in for giving every single person in this country, 33 out of 34, first world countries have healthcare. Why are we the last? And everybody just goes, okay, I will just go with it, especially during a pandemic. Why are we not in the streets screaming? I mean, I bring reports constantly about the homeless plight, and boy, your guys' plight down there in LA just blows my mind daily. But the amount of people whose healthcare bills are starting to roll in from surviving COVID are going to kill them.
Yeah. Oz?
Yeah, absolutely. I liken that question to kicking the $15 minimum wage down the road.
Yeah.
Listen, Daschle and what's that other guy's name? Howard Dean. When Obama had the Congress, the House, and the Senate, they wouldn't even go for the public option. So how do we expect them to do that now?
Right.
They're not going to do anything. They're not going to give us Medicare for all, none of them. So we're holding out. We're holding strong for universal, improved Medicare for all. That's the way it is, because the biggest element that's against us right now is not the Republicans.
Yep.
It's the damn Democrats we've been fighting to get universal health care, period. The Republicans agree with us for the most part. What is it? 88% of this country want a single payer, universal improved health care, Medicare for all type system. Are you kidding me? We're not going to give an inch on that. We can't move the goalposts further to their side like Obama and Biden and the rest of them did. We have got to hold our ground and show some guts and some grit. That's how we're going to get the respect and the support of the base. Your family, our family. That's what we need to go forward. These mealy-mouthed politicians are not getting it done. It's a big club, baby. We ain't in it. We have our peeps to take care of, and that's what we're going to do.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and
fam.
if they don't do it, we bring it, which is the other thing, like the Black Panthers did. They created their own form of healthcare, and we were talking about it the other day, because if they're not going to provide, then we shall provide. So that's the whole other thing we can talk about. But let's get into this right now, because speaking of progressives and Medicare for all, AOC ran on Medicare for all. She had the mask and everything. So here she is still talking about January 6th, right? Zero on Syria, except liking other people's comments on Twitter. And she seems to go on mainstream media now to run interference for Democrats and Joe Biden. She went on none other than Mehdi Hassan, who is boasting about his new his show now being fully on MSNBC, which is hilarious. Now, let's play a little bit of what she was talking about on January 6th still. We're going to play the both. Yeah, we're just going to play both.
And she's now, I mean, look, you've spoken out. I mean, look at what happened on January the 6th. If we want to see fascism, authoritarianism in action, you've spoken out very emotionally, passionately in public about what happened on January the 6th, how you thought you were going to die. You ended up sheltering in Representative Katie Porter's office. And she said this about the state she found you in. Have a listen.
I was saying, well, don't worry. I'm a mom. I'm calm. I've got everything here we need. We could live for like a month in this office. And she said, I just hope I get to be a mom. I hope I don't die today.
Congresswoman, I have to say, that really got to me, and it got to millions of other people I know as well. And the worst part of it is that you went to Katie Porter's office to hide because you say you didn't feel safe in the secure room with your own Republican House colleagues, who you think could have given your location away and got you killed.
Yeah, and I don't think that it is by any means a stretch of the imagination. We have very limited details, but we do know that members of Congress are being included in the initial inquiries and investigations into who was part of this attack, who collaborated and potentially, worked with these insurrectionists that were violent, that we knew for a fact had many members of Congress in their sight. And as time goes on, we realize exactly how violent their plans were, including, speculation about trying to gas the underground tunnels and basements while having members of Congress trapped inside. And so, it's extraordinarily serious, and not to mention the fact that there are members of Congress who are extremely dangerous. They have talked about and tried sneaking firearms onto the floor of the House, to the point that now every member of Congress has to go through a metal detector in order to exercise our right and our community's right to vote on issues and the laws of the land. And so the fact that we are even at that point because of explicit threats from other members of Congress just goes to show that it's not an exaggeration to say that some are a threat to their colleagues.
All right. So, but sorry, Jonny, before we go to the next one, I just wanted to have a real discussion. I wanted to get you guys' take on this, but should we be really wasting our time still talking about January 6th? We just bombed Syria. No. She's talking about the insurrection and how she felt in danger. They even put Katie Porter's response there. Mehdi Hassan, of course, bringing in, it seems like he's running PR for AOC, bringing in this whole thing like, oh, poor AOC, oh my God, they were in danger. And she's talking about these insurrectionists and how they were violent in Congress, kind of to signal what Cori Bush was pushing when she's trying to get these people kicked out of Congress, the obsession with Marjorie Taylor Greene. I just want to get your guys' take on that, and then we'll go to you, Pasta.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just going to say either she shows no emotion at all over this, even though she was so petrified, or she's had some serious Botox. Because if you go back and you rewatch that clip, her face expressions don't move once. Her eyes don't go up and down around her mouth doesn't move. I mean, we have normal reactions as human beings when we are truly in fear for something. And you can absolutely tell she's not in fear. This is just, if I say it once, I say it a billion times. AOC is our reality TV progressive, and that's what I call her.
Wow.
She is our Kim Kardashian. All of the progressives love to watch her. They love to see what she's tweeting, watch her videos on Twitch and Twitter and all the other places that she's cool, but she is just for reality TV. She is not actually out there fighting anybody.
I agree.
Oz?
Why are we still even here with January 6th? We've got people starving. We've got people dying. We've got people losing their homes, their jobs, their livelihoods. But we're clutching our pearls because of some riot that I believe was controlled opposition in many ways. It was total crap, because if our government's that weak, that you guys were there, you saw what was going on. So, this thing should be nipped in the bud. We're killing people. With our tax dollars daily, with our hubris, with our imperialism, and we're still crying about being in another building scared to death. It's all scripted. And I'll tell you one more thing. Tulsi Gabbard didn't mess around with the Dems like AOC is. She's going to play their game, and they're going to groom her for big places in that thing. And I think she was promised this from the beginning. The whole bartender thing and wearing her shoes out and everything. I think this was a setup from the word go, and I will have that debate with anybody.
Wow.
Way to go,
well,
Oz.
first of all, I just want to say this is very brave of you guys to say this, because I feel like one of these idiots is going to clip this up and say, oh my God, think it's Nazi collaborators.
Yes.
So we have your back when that happens. But I was
going to say they're going to clip Oz up over there. Not only did he go on the Convo Couch, but Shanda and Oz were talking conspiracy theories and stuff. And well, let me tell you something. First of all, and I said this before, this wasn't really an insurrection.
No.
If it, and I was looking at the crowd. There was over 100,000 people over there. You know what I'm saying? It was ridiculous. And if they wanted to storm the Capitol, they'd still be there to this day. Right. And we have this woman who's crying when she has Capitol Police protecting her. And like we said, 22 people just died in Syria from bombs being dropped. And our policies and our poverty are starving people out. And what trauma do they go through every day in these cities where they get thrown out in the streets, or they see somebody die, or they can't get the proper medication? So it's really disgusting to me. Now this whole thing about gassing the tunnels, we didn't see any weapons there. There were no weapons. When were they going to come after you?
Well, not to mention that the New York Times literally lied about the fire extinguisher thing. They lied about multiple incidents. They were trying to say, oh, look, these radicals, they hurt the police. They killed people. And it's like, yeah, they hurt people. And there was a small group of people that went into the Capitol and were broke in. But they were allowed in. And you mentioned that you think this was a controlled opposition. And I'm 100% with you on that. When we were there, it was like, look, we were surrounded by cops like within seconds when we were doing Force the Vote.
Exactly.
And Assange, they had the FBI lined up down the street. I mean, I'm not even joking, but the Capitol gets no protection. Yeah. So, and then, you start looking into these things and you're like, there's no way. And of course, they're never going to admit it. But the FBI, there are people who have worked in the FBI who were at the Capitol that day. There's things coming out that are very interesting. And this investigation is basically just an attempt to blame it all on one side, which is the Republicans. But we know that the establishment works together to get things done, to manufacture consent for more war or more just an invasion of our privacy and our civil liberties. So they do this all the time.
And I guess what you're saying, Shanda, is AOC a victim? It's a strong no.
No. Oh, come on. That voice of hers is even fake. You got to know what you're looking at. She does that poor little baby voice. So that way, she looks vulnerable. She is a classic actress. This is, she's their puppet. I mean, there is nothing that she will say in the future that will even shock me. She will be, because remember, we started out with a lot of these Democrats 10 years ago. Cory Booker was going to save the goddamn world in 2004. And now look at him.
He's
so, 10 years from now, we'll talk about AOC as, remember when we thought she was a progressive?
Wow.
Fool me once. Hey, you know what you're going to hear now? you're going to see a CNN reporter sniffing the walls of those caves underneath. Oh, there's definitely chemicals on those things. You watch that. You talk about the Syrian gas attacks. That's what they're going to do right there in DC with that whole thing. They're going to create all this garbage.
Yeah.
And they're going to sell it point by point by point.
Like they always do.
The pipe
Like
bombs.
they always do.
The pipe bombs, right?
All of it.
And they Seth Rich the footage once again. The most
don't even
secure
get us going
freaking
on
city
that.
in the world, and there's no footage of the people bringing the pipe
Right.
bombs.
What?
Right?
What? Where?
Huh, this is just we're just this is all sarcasm, guys. We're just joking. But you guys are absolutely right. Let's watch the second part right here, and then we'll get to this couple more questions.
You've spoken out. I mean, look at what. If we want to see fascism, authoritarianism in action. You've spoken out very emotionally, passionately in public about what happened on January the 6th, how you thought you were going to die. You ended up sheltering in Representative Katie Porter's office. And she said this about the...
Is this the same one? Okay. Sorry. I guess this is the same one.
We do that all the time too.
Yeah.
That's
We
weird.
do it all the time.
Okay. All right. So, guys, AOC still hasn't said a word about Syria, right? Like, as far as I know, I don't know. I've been trying to keep up. She hasn't said very much about Syria. Why do you guys think that is? Why do you think she hasn't said a word? Is it because she doesn't know what's happening? Is it because she's not allowed to?
She's not allowed to.
Not
Are
allowed
you kidding?
to.
She's not allowed
Absolutely
to.
Not
I
allowed
mean,
to.
last year she backed up Ilhan when Ilhan made a statement. She said, "Oh, well, I support that statement," but she never made one herself. So I don't expect her to either, because she is very, very weak when it comes to foreign policy.
No, it comes on their talking points memo every day.
Yeah.
You can talk about this, but you can't talk about this. Sorry. And when they scratch at things, when they almost say something, that's put in there as bait. Oh, she's, and people are going to take that and twist it. Oh, she did say no, but she just gets to the edge and she doesn't say a word. So, it's controlled.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Why do you think there's such a lack of foreign policy with all these new members of Congress and whatnot? I mean, didn't they understand that we were always like, we were starting to look into the nuances of our imperialism?
Oh, that's easy. It's because we have a uniparty that controls our defense. But, I mean, it's Republicans and Dems hand in hand. We've had 4 different, administrations that have thought it's okay to just pummel the Mideast, and it doesn't change. Trump tried to pull us out, right? If anything, he was the only one trying to say, okay, let's pull some guys out. And the Democrats lost their fucking mind, including the squad. So, we're never going to see a change until we admit we have a uniparty.
Yeah.
Yep.
So let's talk about Andrew Cuomo, because this situation's going on. But here's the thing, everybody says, oh, you guys are just being critical of AOC because you want to be critical of AOC.
Too critical?
But this shit was going on almost last year. Last year, you have the assembly members, you had Democrats. I think his name is David Kim. It's not David Kim. Assembly member Kim was sounding the alarms. The story was out there. This is right in her backyard. There are nursing homes in her district that had to go along with these orders from Andrew Cuomo, forcing people who had COVID back into these nursing homes. Yeah. And that is just murder.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you explain
I'm a retired CIA certified nursing assistant. I live in a retirement community. I've spent years working in nursing homes. And can I just tell you that these are the places where they send the elderly to make money. So I'm sure their health is never even a consideration. Como, we knew we were getting video of these huge freezer trucks outside Emory Hospital and in the spring last year. Okay, well, if people aren't dying of COVID, what do they need all of the refrigeration storage for? Because we were here and there was a much larger body count in New York than we were being told. But of course, you couldn't prove that. Well, now the numbers are starting to absolutely prove that. And, come on, Cuomo's a gangster. He's a gangster straight up New York style, like Trump and like his brother. I won't say it.
Fredo?
Fredo, yeah. So they're just gangsters, and we knew. And I'm glad that they're starting to call for an investigation into this. But do I think anything will come of it? Hell no, nothing ever comes from it. I think he's one of the Dems' rising stars. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they put him up for president next time or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Oz, they lied about the numbers of deaths. They granted immunity to those healthcare providers who are then going to make money off people dying off COVID. Do you think it was a little bit too late for AOC calling for this investigation now?
Well, the half-assed way that she called for it was in question. I don't remember. I watched it several times, but You guys were reporting on this last spring. Jimmy was talking about it last spring, and now AOC is finally catching up with this stuff, and she's kind of like backhandedly calling for an investigation. I don't think so. She is given the okay to call it so much. Let's see how much farther she goes, because it's crap. Cuomo's a gangster. We know he is, but I just want to finish by saying, we treat our elderly in this country worse than any country in the world. We should be ashamed on ourselves nationally over this. And if we let Cuomo get away with this, this is murder. This is blood on his hands. Then we're not a democracy, but we don't even have a heart in this country anymore.
Yeah.
It's disgraceful how we treat elderly in this country. You might as well take them up to the third floor, give them the brown bottle, and toss them in the back of the truck.
It might as well be like the Giver, where they just take people and just dispose of them.
Well.
If you've ever read that book, we're horrible. So let's just watch what her answer is on Cuomo, and then we'll get right back on it.
Yeah, then I'll lose my mind.
So I have to ask about a big story in the news. The left, progressives, have long been critical of Democratic Governor Andrew Cuomo of your great state of New York. He has now been accused by two women, two former aides, of sexual harassment, something he denies. And he's been accused by the state attorney general of undercounting thousands of COVID deaths in New York nursing homes. And he's being investigated by the FBI and a U.S. attorney in Brooklyn. At what point does his position become untenable, in your view?
Well, I have called for the full investigation into the nursing home crisis, and I've also called for a full independent investigation, and by that I mean an investigator that is appointed by the Attorney General and not the governor's office into these sexual assault allegations. And I think that if these investigations bear out that the details of these allegations are true, as well as deliberate misconduct in these nursing home numbers, it really starts to, I think, call into question the leadership that we currently have. And, I think that this is not an easy conversation or decision by any means made. And that is why we also look towards our state legislature's leadership here in the state of New York with State Senate Majority Leader Andrea Stewart-Cousins and our Assembly Leader Carl Heastie.
Just before we run out of time, 30 seconds left, just to be clear, based on what we know now and the independent investigation you're calling for and what that might discover, you're not ruling anything out. You're not taking anything off the table. Impeachment, resignation, none of that.
No, I don't think that we rule anything out in either direction until we get the full facts of the situation.
A little late, fam.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little late. I also think it's interesting now. I've seen more outrage regarding Cuomo, regarding the sexual assault allegations, which I think, they should be looked at. But again, we're talking about people dying. We're talking about the dismissal of the elderly in this country. We're talking about all of that. But it took the sexual assault allegations for some of these liberals to be like, okay, let's investigate him. Let's do this. And to me, that's, once again, where it's like the outrage culture, the whole Me Too movement. And I don't think the Me Too movement has been at all valid or fair. I can talk about Tara Reid has been one of the people that was maligned when it came to Joe Biden. I just don't think that's also that's going to hold up with Andrew Cuomo. Democrats don't, the Me Too movement exists. Believe women, unless it's a Democrat, unless it's Joe Biden or Bill Clinton or Andrew Cuomo. So on that, I don't have any belief that it's going to continue.
I got something I want to say about that. I mean, okay, so the Democrats are notorious for these damn closet sexual harassers. I mean, look at who did we have? We had Anthony Weiner. We had Mayor Murray of Seattle. I mean, I could just keep listening. And what about the one down in L.A. that was killing him in his house?
Yeah.
But, Neera Tanden physically assaulted somebody who said that they were sexually harassed, right?
Yeah.
And the Dems just plowed right over that and covered it up. This is just par for the course. Yeah, I wouldn't be. Did she endorse Cuomo last year? I think she might have. AOC. Did she endorse Cuomo?
She might have. You know what? To tell you the truth, I can't remember.
I don't think she did, but she might have eventually just said we need to support the governor eventually.
After she beat,
Right.
who did he beat?
It's Nixon.
Cynthia Nixon,
Cynthia
right?
No, she might have endorsed.
She endorsed Cynthia Nixon, but then
Yeah, okay.
after,
After, she's like, "Oh, it's time to stand up for Cuomo and stuff." So.
Unify.
yeah.
Unity.
Unity.
Either way, she endorsed Biden, and nobody took Tara Reade's accusations, into account. All the vote blues who are shocked by these accusations now on Cuomo. Come on, we've been telling you for a long time the Democratic Party has a problem with this misogynistic, sexist. Especially if you've been inside the Democratic Party, you see it, you experience it all the damn time. I know I do as a pretty girl.
Yeah. Do you think it's time for the left to understand that they should stop relying on politicians right now? I mean, after this squad failure, the fraud squad
Bernie.
situation, and Bernie, and that stuff. I mean, isn't it time we say, listen, we got to understand, we got to stop glorifying these politicians, like you said, like stop treating the AOCs like the Kim Kardashians, whatnot. Oz, your opinions on that, brother?
Yeah, you're killing me with that one because we've been screaming about that for what, a month now. Shanda, is this celebrity status crap? We've got to stop worshiping politicians, celebrities, sports people. I mean, really, they are not going to make a damn bit of difference in our life with the way they're going. It's all about them every time. AOC is a prime example. It's all about her hiding, doing her thing there. And when she was just talking about Cuomo and the nursing home murders, I just felt like, she was reading a script again. There was no real passion there. If it would have been Shanda or myself or you or Fee, it would have been, we have got to get to the bottom of this. This is horrible.
Yeah.
She could say it with the passion instead of looking all nice with, oh, I'm level-headed, I talk like this. We need to get angry, like force the vote.
Right.
Our brother Jimmy over there, Cornel West went on. We need to be angry. We need to speak our minds. We need to show that passion. We can't just do the politically accepted nice way of saying things anymore.
Right.
That's where I'm coming from, and I think that Shanda agrees with that.
Yes, too woke is really hurting us too.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And it's this sort of culture has gotten in the way of us getting to discuss things, right? Because if you say anything against AOC now, it's sexist, it's racist.
Yeah,
if you're
right.
white, this is why I am actually very outspoken against, not even against as much as like her failures, like as a progressive of what she ran on. The bare minimum is she should be pushing the Democratic Party to accept the basic things like healthcare for all. She didn't do that. She voted for Nancy Pelosi. Minimum wage, they thought that was a given, and now they're like, oh, I guess it's not. Now we have this parliamentarian situation and all these things, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But it's just like she the bare minimum she's not doing, and so people want to get mad at us for calling it out. It's like, no, but I expected more from her. So did you.
Yeah.
All of us put our time to get her. So did AOC help us in any way, help progressives get closer to progress? And are they our allies? Because Nina Turner has said that we shouldn't attack our allies. They're the closest thing we have. So are they our allies?
Yeah, I'm so disappointed. I mean, Nina said I was going to be disappointed. And guess what? I'm disappointed in what Nina's saying lately. I'm very worried about Nina. I think she's one of our last to fall, and, the Democratic Party will just suck her up and she'll toe the line too. What have we got from AOC? That's what I've been asking people. What has she produced that's helping actual everyday people in this country that are suffering, that have rent and mortgages and power bills and no jobs and no insurance? This just seems to, when you have money, you don't even know what it's like not to have money, and it's not even considered. No, I'm so done with these people. I just don't even expect them to do anything anymore.
Let's talk about what Mehdi says about the elections right now too, because we can sit here and talk about this all day long and stuff.
Yeah.
They're the big disappointment and stuff like the progressives have not helped us progress at all. We've gone backwards. It seems like we're in 2020 and we're in a worse off position than we were before. Not only did Force the Vote expose a lot of these people for who they are right now, the whole Neera Tanden thing also brought people out. I'm like, holy shit, guys, you guys are ready to lay on the sword of Neera Tanden? Neera Tanden? No. Mehdi Hassan on the election. Check this out.
Let me see here. Whichever one.
Hold on a second, guys.
Journalist is the first one.
Journalists shouldn't be biased. No, journalists should have a bias towards democracy. We should be proudly pro-democracy and proud to call ourselves Democrats, small d Democrats. This week, the House will vote on a bill more important than even the COVID relief bill, more important than bills on climate change or gun control, because it is the bill that guarantees everything else, free and fair elections. It's called H.R. 1, or the For the People Act. And it would expand access to voting, limit the role of money in politics, and bring in independent commissions to draw up congressional boundaries. The Republicans plan to filibuster it in the Senate. Of course they do. But don't let someone on the right gaslight you into thinking it's somehow partisan or political to want to expand voting rights, to make it easier to vote, to protect the integrity of our democracy. That is ridiculous. People sometimes say, journalists...
All right. Can I go at Mehdi Hassan first, since he talks shit about the election?
I know where you want to
I want to go at
attack.
Mehdi. I want Mehdi
Please
first.
do.
If we were all together and somebody got their licks to Mehdi, I'd be like, guys, stand aside. I'm getting Mehdi first. Because
I'd fight.
how this guy is such a piece of work, where he tells people that you shouldn't be gaslit while he's sitting there and gaslighting you, talking about this freaking HR 1 like it's going to be something special, that it's going to First of all, learn elections, pal, because this bill is awful, and it doesn't address the serious problems we have fundamentally in the framework with our elections, which comes to proprietary software and tracking these ballots. All the things that are important is not mentioned within this bill, and he's gaslighting you. And also, I want to digress to the part where he says, that really shook me up about the whole Katie Porter thing with AOC. It doesn't shake you up that where you come from, when you weren't used to work for Al Jazeera, and that region's getting bombed on a regular basis, where little children have to worry about bombs killing them? That doesn't shake you up? Mehdi has become full-on establishment lackey, and that's what he is. He's a piece of work. He always has been. I love to play the clip of Morandi, the professor, just tearing him apart.
Yep.
Your thoughts on this, guys? Because I mean, this guy just really, no doubt they were going to give this guy his own show on MSNBC. So,
Do you want to weigh in first?
Yeah. I mean, by the way, what the hell is journalists should be a small d Democrat?
Yeah.
Small
What
D.
the hell is he talking
Small
about?
D.
What is
Small
that?
douchebag.
Journalists shouldn't have any party affiliation, as far as I'm
Exactly.
concerned. They need to be journalists. To hell with that crap.
Exactly.
And I'd like to see Mehdi Hassan go 10 rounds with Richie Medhurst. And, that would be great, because that would be
I thought about that.
KO in about 10 seconds.
I'll
Richie
be the
would have him
referee.
down.
Little
Yeah,
D versus Big Dick.
Yeah, I mean, come on. But no, that's all I got to say. He's another corporate tool,
funny.
and now he's on MSNBS. And enjoy yourself, Mehdi, because you're just going to go down, down, down like the rest of them. Shanda, what do you think?
Well, you know, this bill that they're introducing, all these wonderful things that would open up voting. You know, if you've ever done any actual voter registration, I'm an elected vote official in Washington State. I observe the vote. And there's lots of things that the Democrats have supported and they have done, which actually hurt our elections. And ballot harvesting is one of them. And every Democrat will tell you it's the greatest thing. And I've been on ballot harvesting teams where I've spent 2 weeks trying to swing elections after the elections, and I know it's wrong just from doing it firsthand myself.
Yeah,
exactly. And he was absolutely gaslighting, because HR 1, I read all of it, and it's anything but. And the sad part is, Pasta, a lot of people are going to believe this, because in the beginning of the text, you see, oh, we're going to, fix gerrymandering. We're going to give more voting rights to people of color. We're going to expand automatic registration. So on the surface, it looks good. But when you get into the nitty gritty details of this HR 1, what it does is basically malign and vilify and make it impossible for anybody who's questioning the elections to speak out against it. It does absolutely nothing regarding the chain of custody. It amps up ballot harvesting. It gives more power to the actual vendors to have this sort of oversight on the elections when they're vendors, they're bank robbers investigating themselves. So that's what's happening. It does absolutely nothing to secure our elections at all. It actually, in fact, makes it worse. And it says media who speak out against or basically against that HR1 could be prosecuted or fined for impeding somebody from the right to vote. It also had text riddled with Russiagate as fact, and talking about cybersecurity. We're going to amp up our monitoring of these potential hackers. And it's just, we're seeing right now in the Biden administration how Twitter, Facebook, YouTube are labeling everything QAnon or Russian or misinformation or disinformation. So this is really dangerous. But the way it's being presented is actually, this is for people of color, for the working class, etc. And that's what the liberals do. And so I think putting people like Mehdi in there saying that this is great, we should support it, just is letting you know you might want to check out that bill, because it's really not. Go check out the Convo Couch's breakdown of that, because it's really tedious to go through it all. But
it's always about inclusivity and accessibility and getting more people involved and participation. Meanwhile, there's just like wide open lanes for fraud and cheating to be going on. And it's the Republicans again. They're racist. They don't want you guys to vote. They don't want people of color to vote once again. So let's demonize them. And that's why, AOC and Mehdi are just like two peas in the pod. They perfectly fit together. It's the same narrative right now. They're not out there doing real journalism. They're out there doing propaganda. And that's all it is. Just conditioning. So
all right, guys, so let's get to some tweets. We just wanted to showcase some of the few tweets that have been really great. So first we have a Niko House. Niko had this tweet up that said Joe Biden hates black. Well, that's his name. Joe Biden hates black people. So still no word from AOC on the bombing of Syria, huh? Surprise, surprise. And yes, like we said, guys, this no word from AOC on that. Should everybody at her and tell her to talk about Syria? Because I think most of us have been doing that. And here's somebody else posted, Fluxus 2 said AOC's reaction to bombing Syria when it was Trump. Here's the profound danger of what we just did in Syria. Mad King president with majority disapproval of Americans just decided to bomb a nation without the constitutional requirement of congressional approval. Democrats who take war money passed a law allowing that. And then the next one, crickets.
That's today when Joe Biden bombed Syria. Crickets.
Right. And then the next one we have is from David Soldier. AOC should fly to Syria to do a fundraiser for the kids we just made orphans.
Yes.
Where's the outrage for, white supremacy? And this is something I just want to bring up real quick to you guys. We've been attacked so much for interviewing Magnus Pemvidia, for talking to Republicans or talking to libertarians and trying to say there's a working class movement that could unite with people who may not necessarily be on the left. And so we gotten attacked for that by people who say we're Nazi adjacent, Nazi collaborators, white supremacist sympathizers, and it's interesting when we're talking about white supremacy but we don't talk about imperialism. Isn't imperialism one of the highest forms of white supremacy? When our country goes bombing indigenous brown and black people, we have a slave trade in Libya because of us, because of our foreign policy. And so it's kind of, to me, I'm just so sick and tired, especially as a Latino person, as an immigrant, that I get to hear all these, I don't know what you want to call them, like white knights, and this sort of like pointing out like, oh, you're white supremacy. You don't care about people of color. You didn't, Joe Biden, we need to vote Joe Biden, mitigating damage. And now that Joe Biden's deporting more people than Donald Trump and engaging in this more imperialistic foreign policy, I don't know, guys. Do you have anything to say on that? Because I'm really sick of hearing that from a lot of these, fake progressives.
Well, you guys do such an amazing job of pushing back and getting the truth out there regularly. You're going to get hate. Don't read it, ignore it, because we know that when it comes down to it, you guys have the facts. We have the facts to fight back and slap that down. I'm Jewish descent. I get called an anti-Semite daily because of my stance on what Israel is doing in the world. Every day I live with these people who are, it's just hypocrisy. It's absolute hypocrisy. You say you're against stuff, but then you allow other things that, in the end constitute the same results. And so I'm just so proud of you guys and how hard you throw down, and us at Roar Media will always have your damn back. We are never going to Justice Democrat you. We are never going to, sell you down the road. We'll always have your back because we know where you're at, what you're doing. You're on the ground. You're fighting for truth. The people you're fighting for. Once you get into that elected system, you lose touch with reality, that gated community, and you don't understand what the people are actually going through, and you guys do, and that's where your passion comes from. And just keep it up. You guys are doing awesome.
Thank you so much, Shanda. And Oz, you guys used to be with Uphill, now you guys are with Roar, whatnot. A lot of people say that the differences between the two is that they're really like anti-Trump. Why did you guys make a switch to do Roar Media yourselves? Do you think that you wanted to be more holding the leftists accountable? Is that a reason behind maybe just moving on?
Yeah, I think Shanda, will you agree with this statement? We didn't feel like we should push our group, mostly it's women driven, over on Uphill Media because we came over there and they already had established shows and things, but we were kind of like Convo Couch people over there on Roar Media. And we called it as we saw it. And we felt like we were kind of restricted just because of being over there. So we wanted to do our own thing and have the women-driven, people of color and identity media out there. I believe that's our lane because women in social media do not get the credit they deserve or the platforming that they need to get those voices out there. And that's what we're all about. And I think that's pretty much it, Shanda. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. For years in this movement, I watched so many Kyle Kulinski, and we can list them all off. But where was the strong women? We have Kim Iversen and of course our own Fee here, who've done an amazing job. But being out on the ground, traveling the country, and I see these powerful women up at the podium all over the country, and those are the voices we need screaming, not the ones that everybody's like, oh, run for office. That's always the answer, right? If you got a good voice, run for office. Problem is rigged elections and just dirty politics, and then once they get there, they capitulate every time, right? No, we need voices out on the front line in social media, in independent media. Moms. I'm a single mom. I raised 3 kids. I want my opinion out there of these policies and programs that actually help these people, and taxing the rich. That was my biggest, that's why I got into it. We need to tax the rich and give everybody $15 minimum wage. But now I'm so disgusted by the amount of people that are like, well, yeah, we're going to fight for 15 minimum wage by 2024. It'll implement in 2025. Are you kidding me? That was 10 years ago. That's not acceptable. We can't accept that now. We have to be screaming even harder for a living wage, be it 20, 24, being realistic about it. You're not helping the people by throwing them 15 in 5 years. You're just not.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what we were supposed to get, right? From AOC?
That's what we were supposed to get, and we didn't get it.
And didn't get it.
Speaking of that, because just to wrap up the show here, Marie posted this. This is awkward. The $15 an hour was scrapped before they ever voted on it. We all knew this. Why didn't AOC know this? So Jeff Stein posted what AOC said. There would have been a lot more resistance over other measures had progressives known 15 an hour wage would fall out. I think they meant to type a lot more resistance. These negotiations were predicted on the $15 per hour wage. I think that's what really smoothed over the negotiations. This is, of course, they had this interview up about where they were questioning AOC about some Democrats trying to restructure the minimum wage increase as tax on big companies that don't pay their workers at least $15 an hour. Do you think that's a direction that might or provide incentives for small businesses? I guess, is that sufficient? Could you maybe just be open to supporting a workaround like that? And she said, it's certainly not a replacement for a $15 minimum wage. And I think Senator Sanders is doing the right thing by trying to include something last minute, because the fact of the matter is that these negotiations, the entire negotiations of this package for a lot of people was predicated on the $15 grand wage. I think that's what really smoothed over the negotiations of the process. You mean in the Progressive Caucus? She says, I think so. I think there would have been a lot more resistance over other measures in this package, especially given the fact that we're getting 15. I think that there would have been much more of a sting on ensuring that those checks were $2,000 instead of $1,400. I think that the child tax credits, direct payments, there would have been a lot more there, but we got this 15, so I think that's really kind of smoothed things over. So basically, a lot of people were putting all their hopes on $15 an hour, and so the progressives didn't really pay attention to it, because they were like, oh, it's a given, it's gonna happen. And if we recall, when they did force the vote,
exactly,
she was talking about, we should focus on getting something that is attainable, like $15 per hour.
Yep.
But people were like, but all of the Democrats already said that they were for it, that they were going to vote for it.
Yeah.
So either she knew or she's pretending she didn't know, and they just used that to get people to vote Democrat, when they knew that was the one thing, and now they're not even giving you that.
Yeah.
And so it's disgusting. Now there's this fight for 15 movement happening now, where it's like, again, I thought that happened like years ago with Shama Sawant. I mean,
it did. It was 2011. I was here for it. But, can I tell you and point out that last spring, when Bernie conceded, the big concession was that we got 15 minimum wage for Bernie backing down and giving Biden the head of the ticket.
Yep.
So he didn't get shit. I mean, but we got sold that, right? We got told that to smooth us over that Bernie had dropped out.
Yeah. And speaking of Shama Sawant, we have a couple tweets from her. Biden and Democrats had no issue bypassing congressional oversight to attack Syria, but they apparently couldn't overrule the non-binding opinion of the Senate parliamentarian for a $15 per hour minimum wage. Democrats use rules and decorum to justify selling out working people. And that's the thing. This is what they do all the time. This is nothing new, you guys. This is what the Democrats have done constantly. And the problem is they don't get pushback from the left. They get capitulation. They get people like AOC running interference, running a PR campaign. And she even says on the next tweet, our experience in Seattle, just as you mentioned, Shonda, shows we cannot rely on Democrats, even progressive ones, to win a federal $15 minimum wage. Seattle's historic $15 minimum wage was won by a socialist strategy basing itself on 15, now an independently and democratically organized mass movement. So the fight for 15 now, that was an independent direct action movement that Shama led, and she did this because she understands how you don't just get things through the electoral process. You have to actually push politicians with direct action, whether it's protest sit-ins, occupations, etc. This is what we need now more than ever. AOC could do that. She's not doing that. That's my main criticism of her, with her following and the massive movement she could build. She and Bernie both aren't doing that. So what do you guys think about what Shama has said?
So, I like I said, I worked on the 2000 or the 15 now. I still have all my shirts. They're all worn out. I've worn them for so many years. But Shama, we need a squad of Shamas in this country is what we absolutely need.
Yeah.
She understands how you gather the grassroots, you get the support for the policy that you want to change, and you start changing it at every level, being your city council, your local, she just goes up and she uses her resources and her offices for grassroots organizations. So it's not like AOC and her aides that are running around the office deciding what they're going to do with the other Democrats. No, Shama has got grassroots, everyday people in there helping her figure out, these strategies. And it's just amazing to be this close to her. It's so encouraging because I see how we can affect change in this country by watching her and watching what they've done over the last 10 years over there. But the hate that you guys get is nothing compared to the hate that Shama gets. I have never seen anything like it in my life. I've never experienced anything like it. The Democrats, the neo-lefts hate her, they attack her. The Republicans hate her and they attack her. These billionaires have been after her. Bezos spent $2 million in the last race, 1.5 million, to try to have her, a beat in her race, and she still won. And now they're trying to recall her because she was on the ground marching last summer with Black Lives Matter. And, because the electorate, the elected officials all hate her, it's always an uphill battle for her. So please, hashtag Shama Solidarity. You check it out. And even if you're not in Washington State, your support helps her continue to fight and teach people like me and everybody else how to do it and what it looks like.
Yeah. Oz, I think Shama is a true grassroots progressive, the one that we really, really needed. Do you think that Bernie Sanders and the AOC are honest progressives who just lack the political will, who just don't have the guts to really fight for the things that think they can change things from the inside? Or were they really put there to sheep herd us back into the Democratic Party along with Trump?
I don't think Bernie started out that way, but I think now that he's there, he's given up so much of what he's set out to do in the beginning. He's still talking the talk, but the walk's not there. I'll just say this. I have with a question for you guys. Shama Sawant said, working to reform the Democratic Party from the inside is the road to a graveyard. And I want to ask both of you, I want to ask the entire audience here, what has the Democratic Party really done for the average people, the 99% in the last 4 damn decades? And there's your answer. The Democratic Party is part of the Republican Party, which is part of the oligarch machine, which is going to keep us in its place and keep us divided. One of the things that you guys have been doing is reaching out and talking to the other side by having the Proud Boy on your show. We need to keep that up. What? Pardon me?
The Boogaloo Boy.
I'm sorry. Boogaloo Boy. Yeah, that's
Not
a big mistake. Not a Proud Boy. Boogaloo Boy. And we need to keep that up. We need to do it more because as long as they keep us all divided, we are not going to have the strength that we need to stop this bullshit from these bought off politicians. But just remember that. What has the Democratic Party really done for anybody over the past 40 years besides get us into war, get us into debt, give the military industrial complex billions and trillions of dollars, and let these sex offenders and pedophiles and murderers of old people get away with their shit? That's what they've done. And they're never going to give us health care for all, united universal health care. You guys think about that. So let's unite the base and get rolling. Keep up the good work, you guys. You're awesome.
I think we listened to Fred Hampton, fam.
I think
Fred Hampton's going to answer your question, Oz.
Just to end the show, the Fred Hampton leftist said, it's time for more leftists to face facts. The Democratic Party cannot be reformed. A clean and complete break from the Democratic Party is the only way forward. 100%. And Fred Hampton leftists understand this. I consider myself a Fred Hampton type of leftist. I'm an anti-imperialist. I'm, pro-free speech. And I think we need to unite the working classes of the world. Yep. We have more in common with each other than our imperialist regimes. And I think that's what has to happen. And we need to start with the American working class uniting, period, across the board. And we want to thank you guys for coming on here and sharing your insight, because you're one of the few people that has the balls and the ovaries to say the things that need to be said in the way that needs to be said when you're discussing electoral politics. Because the people that discuss electoral politics, and Steve Poikonen always points it out all the time, like they regurgitate the same thing. They pretty much just whine at the mainstream media narrative, but then end up pretty much pushing the same. Yep. Oh, but the Republicans and Trump and blah, blah, blah. You guys are, in that way are unique like we are too. You actually call it like it is. And you really tell the truth, because unlike what Mehdi Hassan said, a journalist shouldn't lead with the bias of being a Democrat. A journalist and media should lead with the bias of telling the truth. And the truth comes above all else, including your ideology. And that's what we try to espouse here on the Convo Couch. So thank you guys for coming on.
Shanda, Oz, tell everybody where they can find you, how they can support you, and where they can send some love.
Well, thank you guys so much for having us on. We love you guys so much. And like I said, we've always got your back. You can catch us every Saturday night for Beauty and the Boomer, 7 Pacific on Rokfin. Please, we are building our Rokfin just like everybody else. We're being shadow banned and demonetized. And we're fighting the same censorship that everybody else is, even though we consider ourselves the small guppies. And I don't know, Oz, do we really consider ourselves journalists? I kind of look at our shows kind of as like a talk soup for the progressives. You know, I just go around and find anything and everything and even weird stuff and just kind of throw it at you.
Yeah, we're you know, what did Fee call us? We're the quirky show. We're the quirky show. And Franco said, you guys are the floating head show. But we're more than we're more like analysts. However, I want to give everybody, hey, please, if you can help Convo Couch out with the fuck the censorship deal there. We'd really like to, because we're thinking about getting Amber and Shanda out there with you guys.
Oh, we would love that. We love that.
Yeah, we're talking about it. I don't know.
We love that.
So if anybody can throw some coin at that, and Rokfin, absolutely. No matter which show you sub through Convo, sub through us, but follow all of our sisters and brothers on Rokfin, because YouTube's got it in for all of us, and they've been breaking our knees for the last year. So that's where we're at. But Rokfin's where it's at. Sub through Convo, sub through Roar Media, sub through Franco, any of us. So that's where we're at.
By the way, Franklin Walbrown, he's in the chat, and he says, "This is the Federation of Independent Media, folks." That's Franklin. He's the guy with the pizzas. In the video, protecting Fiorella. So
while holding a whole box thing of pizzas.
He's got 20 pizzas, and he's like, "Get your hands off! Don't come here," and stuff like that. Guys, I'm crazy about you guys. You guys know I am. Your show is also
love you
fun.
Guys. Thank you so much.
It's a fun show to watch. They show you tweets. They show you stuff on the internet. So it's not just all politics. It's very, very entertaining. Go over to Roar Media, sign up, watch, and let's get Shanda and Amber out there. I want to see Shanda with a megaphone on the steps of CNN building, like nobody's fucking business, please. That's what I want to see. We love you guys.
Love you too. Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys. Go subscribe to Roar, guys. Check them out. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
So just read some super chats and let's.
Well, we only got that one. We have Hunter Carranza, who also left the Super Ray.
Hunter.
And I don't know, did we read this one Super Ray right over here before? This one, this is the only one I thought we might have missed. Daniel Butler, just say no to imperialism and war, debt-based manipulation, upward wealth redistribution, big pharma, big media, and other big business manipulations, censorship and mass consent, manufacturing, including false flags, psyops, patsy farming, and other innuendos.
Wow. Yeah, just say no to all of that, Daniel Butler. We're just gonna say no to that long list of things. I mean, it's really bad, guys. It's really bad. Looking at what's in stock for 2024, I'm like, good thing our passports are coming in, because it's like I don't want to be here for.
What if they make us get the vaccine to go travel, fam?
God,
that's like what's up next. And then Patrick S. just left a Super Ray. Thank you, Patrick S. And thank you to all you people. We're going to have them read in a second. You see that thermometer up there? For some people who left a tip, thank you so much to help out. That's going to help with the fuck censorship protest or rally. Also, somebody who's wearing our gear. We sent some people a shirt. I think I sent out some more shirts. Somebody just sent me their size. I think it's Embled Fate. I'll send you a shirt. But we sent some shirts to our boy in Brooklyn. Take a look at this. Woo!
Caleb Moppin said, I went on the Convo Couch and they sent me a couple of lovely t-shirts. Thanks, Yo Pasta and Fiorella. And
this is Johnny's
Caleb,
design.
This is Johnny's design.
Go ahead, click on that. We gotta show you. Look at the shorts he's wearing.
He's wearing bison pants, and people were really loving the bison. That's not Convo Couch affiliated, but by all means, don't eat them.
Yeah. Maybe we should get combo bisons. But look at that. Look at the defund the Pentagon, man. That is so awesome.
Yeah.
That is the truth, right? You got to defund the Pentagon. The other day, we just bombed and killed 22 people. Nobody says anything, but we're going to wag our fingers at the stage of the Republican convention.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go after people with power for once, instead of getting duped by what Donald Trump just did. Pointing fingers at the other guy on the left. Let's just continue to punch up instead of punching down and take care of some serious problems. It is fascism where we're bombing people on a regular basis in their homeland. It's racist as can be, and we need to stop it. What's in store for this week? We are supposed to have on Steph Zambrano on Wednesday and Danny Haifong on Friday. Plus, we'll probably have some individual stuff going on. We're looking to talk to Vanessa Beeley as well.
Thursday.
And I'm going to look to have a debate with a gentleman who I was on my first crosstalk show with Mr. Martin. He's a conservative who ran for office in the Midwest. So I'm looking to have him on. Maybe we can have a little debate about what's going on about the CPAC stuff, because I want to have a good, sensible debate, family. We talk about talking to the other side. Well, I really disagree with what Donald Trump just talked about the other day. I thought it was really tribal. I thought it was really divisive. And I want to talk about those things because there was no bridges being built, and we need to talk to people on the other side. Johnny, anything else?
Yeah, just a couple things. So this meme.
Oh, look at this.
Someone photoshopped this, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, of course.
But it looks
Can you
real.
imagine if that was real?
That looks so real, though. Look at, they got the,
what do we got
the
there,
rainbow
Johnny?
Boeing. You got Black Lives Matter. You got
the
trans rights. And then, the meme becomes real life. And it looks so real.
It's just
It is
true.
real.
But it is real,
It
like
is
in
real.
the sense of that's what you get
That's what you
liberals
get.
to cheer for Democrats. That's what they're doing, but just in the name of BLM and trans rights and LGBT rights and
Yeah. Not to say that it's not important.
It's not to say that it's not
but
important,
it's being used, weaponized as a distraction, so you don't look at the bombs that are being dropped every
So you don't
day.
look at foreign policy or pay attention to that.
Exactly.
Foreign policy matters.
It
Biden's
does.
Harry Lake said, folks today, I regret voting for Biden. Same folks in 2024. We have to vote blue just one last time to stop blank and save democracy.
It's exactly what's going to happen. I mean, this is, you guys, it's not like we're freaking psychic. I mean, some of us may be. But it's the fact that
I'm psychotic.
Democrats keep doing this over and over and over again. Like, over again. This is the same playbook.
Yeah.
It doesn't change.
And they just get different people to say the same message. Hey, Donald Trump was the most sexist, racist president, misogynist president of all times. This is the most important election. You need to vote. They say that's the most important election every single time. This was the most important election. To not vote for the duopoly. To say enough is enough. I'm not going to play this game. You're not going to trick us into voting for you when you're going to do nothing for progressive or populist-minded people. Oh, my Lanta.
So war is a racket. They're on Twitter and on Instagram. They posted this meme. It says,
oh, this could be great.
So, U.S. troops are in West Asia, right? Yup. And West Asia is thousands of miles from the U.S., right? Yup. So, local resistance against these troops would not be targeting the U.S. That makes sense to me. Then the attack on Syria was an act of aggression. They attacked us.
And that's one. We got to bomb them over there so they don't bomb us over here, Johnny.
I mean, yeah. That's
defensive bombing. When you bomb somebody on the other side of the planet and you have the balls to say that you're doing it in self-defense. And ladies and gentlemen, you take it. You don't question it. Once again, you question Donald Trump, the Mad King and AOC. Biden does it. Crickets. It's bullshit. Johnny.
Real quick, big companies accepting Bitcoin. I'm just kind of putting this out there just to show y'all.
Put it out there, baby.
That there's becoming more and more
Starbucks,
acceptance of
Whole
Bitcoin.
Foods.
Starbucks, PayPal, Whole Foods, Twitch, Etsy, Home Depot, BMW, Overstock, Coca-Cola, Rakuten, Microsoft, AT&T. Eventually, this is going to expand. This is going to expand
Of course.
even more and more and more.
They have no choice.
It's going to be crazy. So,
And
just
Johnny,
showing that.
You know, they had somebody who a grifter that we know by the name of, not mentioning any names, Josh Fox, who was talking about Bitcoin being masculine toxicity.
Toxic masculinity.
Now, there is issues with the power grid and how
Yeah.
when mining
I brought that
comes,
up, yeah.
there's a lot of electricity. But then you have to look at everything that we use electricity, whether it be your phone, your TV, whatnot. Let's get something straight. It's a decentralized currency, and it's not backed by any bank or whatnot. You want to sit there and you want to talk about our monetary system. It's backed by a bullet, by a gun, by a bomb. Johnny said this the other day. So a person like Josh Fox, who's born into a little financial help, whatnot, he doesn't have to care about people trying to get outside the monetary system and take control of their own lives and actually becoming their own bank by investing in Bitcoin. No, he wants to push you to stay within our monetary system, just like everybody else does in Congress, when it's backed by what? A gun, a bomb. What we did the other day, that's what's backing our finances right there.
US
That's
imperialism.
what's backing our dollar. U.S. imperialism. Get that through your head. Johnny?
Yeah, so Max Kaiser talks about that a lot and how he's saying, Bitcoin is like a peaceful overthrow of the monetary system.
Mm-hmm.
So Redfish, if you guys aren't following Redfish, you need to follow Redfish Stream on Twitter and Instagram. So they gotta show all the protests around the world. So just to let y'all know, that story we covered about Pablo Hasél in Spain, there are still protests going on for that. Look at how many people are out there. You know what I'm saying? So let's listen to this a little bit. People are breaking stuff. There's the trash cans again. Dumpsters. So this is huge because, like, you know, it's for freedom of speech.
Yeah.
We're broken into a hotel, it looks like. Yeah.
It is for freedom of speech. That's the thing, but it's very one-sided freedom of speech. They're allowing the Nazis, but they're not allowing the...
Yeah, they're jailing the artist.
When you see those parallels, it's like, what the fuck, you know? It
Yeah.
makes you say, like, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So there's that, and then, you know, they've been covering, you know, here's some more photos. It looks like they put an anarchy sign on a police van there. You got paint that looks like paint, and then you got fire there. It's crazy. They're throwing Molotovs and shit over there.
That's a lot of people there.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
We can't even get, God, America, what the hell, man? Like, we can't, like, they literally give us nothing. And I imagine having that many people for free speech here in America.
Yeah, you'll get nothing like it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, now's your chance to come out to the Fuck Censorship protest and show that you are ready to stand up for freedom of speech, because it's important.
So this month marks Women History Month.
That's right.
I didn't know that.
March.
We commemorate Lepa Radic, a young Yugoslav partisan communist who was executed at the age of 17 for shooting at the Nazis during World War II. I didn't know about that.
I think I read about her in passing. There's not enough women that get highlighted. So this month, you guys are supposed to, like, highlight me, so... Plus, it's my birthday month, my birthday week.
So this is wild. And it says, in her last moments, as her captors tied the noose around her neck, they offered to spare her life she would give up her comrades, to which she responded, I am not a traitor to my people. My comrades will reveal themselves when they avenge my death by wiping out all of you evildoers to the last man. So just showing how fearless and fierce some of these women are, you know?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Fam.
That's pretty much it. Other than... you know, March 17th and 18th, Julian Assange. They're starting at noon. Their GoFundMe's here. You can go find it at action_for_Assange on Twitter, Action for Assange on YouTube. Slow News Day will be there, you know. We're going to be there. And then we'll take over at 2 p.m. Here's our webpage. I believe if you type in fuckcensorship.net, it should work.
Yeah.
It should take you to this page, and it tells you why we're protesting. And, you know, our reasons for why we're protesting, and then just the address of where it's going on, and 2 p.m. there.
Yeah.
And we'll probably put the live stream here once it's once it's all good and done. We do have a website, everybody. It is still in the works, but you can go ahead and visit it, theconvocouch.com.
And people have been wanting more shirts and stuff, so we're going to have that up.
Yeah, we're working
soon.
on that.
Yeah. We got new models like Caleb mowing off.
Yeah.
To fund the Pentagon. But ladies and gentlemen, this is important to us, right? Okay, we're going to really kick up the push for the Fuck Censorship protest this whole week because it's right around the corner. If you can't come out there and join us in the streets, watch our live stream. Share it. Help us out because this is important right now. I mean, we're leftists over here. We're talking about we're getting silenced. Something that Donald Trump didn't talk about. He just talked about the right getting silenced and stuff. No, there's people on the left that are getting silenced. And even though we're just demonetized right now, when does YouTube take it all down? Completely.
Exactly.
They can do it at any time, and they keep going back and fishing for old videos. They went back and they fished for an old video they took down. They didn't give us any repercussions on it, but they still took it down, and it was over a year ago on something we talked about. What we were talking about? We were debunking QAnon, and yet they still took it down. They don't even want you to have certain conversations.
Yeah.
And that is very dangerous. What they did to the Gray Zone last week, putting up those flags, that is very dangerous. So we have to get together. We have to say, fuck censorship. We have Ungi who wrote a song. We're going to get that playing too as well. You know our boy Ungi, he always comes in with the songs. So, I mean, get out there. Join us in the streets. We have a lot of things we've also planned for interviews that we're starting to line up with some great guests. We're going to leave off D.C. We're going to go to Chicago. We're going to get with the Hard Lens crew.
And we're going to fight for pizza.
We're going to prove that New York-style pizza is better than Chicago pizza. But we're going to have a couple shows with them because it's really important that independent media collaborate, talk, and have the conversations that they won't have in the mainstream media because all they're giving you is a bunch of guff, a bunch of distractions, a bunch of red herrings, and we've had the guts to go in here, start these channels, and talk about the things that are important to us. And you guys have followed us, helped us, and have joined our fam, and we can't thank you enough for doing so.
Thank you, guys. Any things to read on the
oh, yeah, you have the Streamlabs. We have a couple for the thermometer. Go over to our PayPal, too, as well, if you can.
Right, so today for the fundraiser, we got a few bucks here. So an hour ago, Reeve Barker donated $10.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Reeve.
Thank you, Reeve. Manitalk, we're all still here because they all believe you will never leave their entire POS, political, electoral, and voting system.
Yep.
I don't think we can make our own, or can we?
We can.
Manitalk
Manitalk.
several tips today. Thank you so much, Manitalk.
Manitalk again. By the way, because of Fee's perspective, we made some needed changes to partyexodus.org, front page and toolkit. Mahalos, Fee.
Oh.
Really?
Well, we'll check it out. Thank you, Manitalk.
That's awesome. That is awesome, fam. It is.
Fam.
That's a great way to see how you're changing things and you're influencing people. Great way to celebrate you. It's Women's Month, so here we are.
Well, thank you, fam. I
All right.
appreciate that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, get on over. Help us out. We hope to see you at the Fuck
Yes.
Censorship protest. For Pasta Jardula,
Fee.
Johnny Sue on those ones and twos.
Fuck censorship.
That's right.
Peace.
Peace.